እንደምን አደራችሁ እንደምን ቆያችሁ። ይህ የኢትዮጵያ ፌዴራላዊ ዲሞክራሲያዊ ሪፐብሊክ ስድስተኛው የሕዝብ ተወካዮች ምክር ቤት ሶስተኛ ዓመት የሥራ ዘመን 14ኛ መደበኛ ስብሰባ ነው። በሕገ መንግስቱ አንቀጽ 58 ንዑስ አንቀጽ 1 እና በምክር ቤቱ የአሰራርና የአባላት ስነ ምግባር ደንብ አንቀጽ 22 ንዑስ አንቀጽ 2 መሰረት ከአባላት መካከል 350 የተገኙ ስለሆነ ሙላተ ጉባኤ ተሟልቷል። ለዛሬው ዕለት የተያዘው አጀንዳ በምክር ቤቱ የአሰራርና የአባላት ስነ ምግባር ደንብ ቁጥር 6/2008 መሰረት የኢትዮጵያ ፌዴራላዊ ዲሞክራሲያዊ ሪፐብሊክ ጠቅላይ ሚኒስትር ክቡር ዶክተር አብይ አህመድ ከምክር ቤት አባላት ለሚቀርቡላቸው ጥያቄዎች በቃል የሚሰጡትን መልስና ማብራሪያ ማዳመጥ ነው። በዚህ መሰረት ለክቡር ጠቅላይ ሚኒስትሩ ጥያቄ ለሚያቀርቡ አባላት እድል ሰጣለሁ። አንደኛ የተከበሩ ወይዘሮ ወርቅነሽ ጀማል።
አመሰግናለሁ። የተከበሩ አፈ ጉባኤ፣ ክቡር ጠቅላይ ሚኒስትር በምክር ቤቱ የአሰራርና የአባላት ስነ ምግባር ደንብ ቁጥር 6/2008 መሰረት በጥያቄ ጊዜ ላይ በመገኘት ከምክር ቤት አባላቱ ለሚነሱ ጥያቄዎች ምላሽና አስተያየት ለመስጠት በመካከላችን ስለተገኙ እያመሰገንኩኝ ጥያቄን አቀርባለሁ። በኦሮሚያ ክልል አንዳንድ አካባቢዎች ላይ በመንቀሳቀስ በዜጎች ሰላምና ደህንነት ላይ ስጋትና አደጋ እያስከተለ ከሚገኘው ከኦኔግ ሸኔ ቡድን ጋር በቅርቡ ንግግር ለማድረግ በመንግስት በኩል ጥረት እየተደረገ ቢሆንም ውጤታማ እንዳልሆነ ይታወቃል። ክቡር ጠቅላይ ሚኒስትር፣ የተካሄደው ድርድር ያልተሳካበት ዋነኛ ምክንያት ምን እንደሆነ ቢገለጽ፣ እንዲሁም ለሂደቱ አለመሳካት አንዳንድ የውጭ ኃይሎች ጣልቃ ገብነት እንደ ምክንያት ይጠቀሳሉ። በዚህ ዙሪያ ማብራሪያ ቢሰጥ። በተጨማሪም ጽንፈኛው ቡድን እያስከተለ ያለው ቀውስ ለመግታት በመንግስት በኩል እየተወሰዱ ያሉ እርምጃዎች ምን ያህል ለውጥ እንዳመጡ ቢገለጥ። በቀጣይስ ችግሩን ለመቅረፍ መንግስት ምን አቅጣጫ አስቀምጧል? ከሰላም ወዳዱ ህዝብ ከሀገር ውስጥ እና ከሀገር ውጭ ከሚገኙ ሀገር ወዳድ ኢትዮጵያውያንስ ምን ይጠበቃል? አመሰግናለሁ።
እናመሰግናለን። በመቀጠል የተከበሩ አቶ ተስፋውን ቦጋለ።
አመሰግናለሁ። የተከበሩ አፈ ጉባኤ፣ ክቡር ጠቅላይ ሚኒስትር፣ በቅድሚያ በጥያቄ ጊዜ ከምክር ቤቱ ለሚነሱ ጥያቄዎች ምላሽ ለመስጠት በመካከላችን ስለተገኙ እያመሰገንኩ ጥያቄን እንደሚከተለው አቀርባለሁ። ምናልባት ከዚያ በፊት ትላንትና የአድዋ 00 ፕሮጀክትን አይተናል። አንድ ደቂቃ ስለዛ ፕሮጀክት ብል አመሰግናለሁ። ትላንት በነበረን በምክር ቤቱ በአዲስ አበባ የከተማ የልማት ስራዎች በጉብኝት ወቅት የአድዋ 00 ፕሮጀክትን እንደሚወራው ሳይሆን እንደሚከተለው አግኝተነዋል። በጉብኝት ወቅት ፕሮጀክትን በአጭር ጊዜ ጀምሮ በአጭር ጊዜ መጨረስ እንደሚቻል አይተናል። የአድዋ 00 ፕሮጀክት የኢትዮጵያ እድል የኢትዮጵያ የሁሉም ህዝቦች እድል መሆኑን በውስጥ በተካተቱ አጠቃላይ ሐውልቶችና የሚገልጹ ስራዎች አይተናል። ፕሮጀክቱ የአድዋ ድል ወቅት ጉልህ ድርሻ የነበራቸው ግን ደግሞ ያልታወሱ ሰዎችን የተረሱ ሰዎችን እንድናስታውስ እንድናገኝ አይተናል። ምናልባትም እኔ ከተማርኩበት ትምህርት ቤት ቢተወደድ መንገሻ ጀንበሬን ብዙ ታሪክ አላውቅም ነበር። እሳቸውም ጭምር በዚህ ፕሮጀክት አግኝቻለሁ። አዊ ዞን ውስጥ ዳንግላ ከተማ ማለት ነው። ይህ ፕሮጀክት በአድዋ ድል ታሪክ የተበታተነ አስተሳሰባችን ወደ አንድ ያመጣ እንደሆነ አይተናል። በአድዋ ድል ታሪክ ብዙዎቻችን የተለያየ ሀሳብ የተለያየ አመለካከት የነበረንን ወደ አንድ እንድናመጣ ያደረገ ፕሮጀክት መሆኑን አይቻለሁ። በጉብኝት ወቅት ክብር ከንቲባ እንደነገሩን ከሆነ የሀሳቡ ባለቤት እርስዎ ስለሆኑ ልናመሰግነው ትወዳለን። ከዚህ በተጨማሪ ምናልባትም ጥር 23 ላይ የፈረሶች ማህበርን በዓልን በአዊ ዞን ተከብሯል። ቀጣይ በኢትዮጵያ በአዲስ አበባ በደማቅ እንዲከበር በዚሁ አጋጣሚ መልእክት ማስተላለፍ እወዳለሁ። በመቀጠል እንደሚከተለው ጥያቄን በንባብ አቀርባለሁ። እንደሚታወቀው በአማራ ክልል የተከሰተውን የጸጥታ መደፍረስ ተከትሎ ባለፉት ወራት ክልሉ በአስቸኳይ ጊዜ አዋጅ ውስጥ እንደሆነ ተገዷል። በአስቸኳይ ጊዜ አዋጅ ውስጥ ያለ አካባቢ ደግሞ በመደበኛ ሕግና ስርዓት እንደማይሰራ ይታወቃል። ይህም በክልሉ ሕዝብ ላይ ማህበራዊና ኢኮኖሚያዊ ጉዳት እያስከተለ ይገኛል። ክቡር ጠቅላይ ሚኒስትር፣ በክልሉ የተወሰደው ሕግ የማስከበር እርምጃ ምን ደረጃ ላይ ነው? በክልሉ ለተከሰተው የሰላም መደፍረስ ሊቃንና ሁሉንም የማህበረሰብ ክፍሎችን በማሳተፍ ፖለቲካዊ መፍትሄ ለመስጠትና አለፍ ብሎም ንግግር በማድረግ የተፈጠረውን የሰላም እጦት ችግር የተራዘመ እንዳይሆን በመንግስት በኩል ምን እየተሰራ ነው? በሌላ በኩል የክልሉ ነባራዊ ሁኔታ ከውጭ ጣልቃ ገብነት የጸዳ ለመሆኑ በተለያየ መንገድ ይነሳል። ይህ ምን ያህል እውነት ነው? በዚህ ዙሪያ የመንግስት ግምገማ ምን እንደሆነ ቢብራራ እጅግ አድርጌ አመሰግናለሁ።
እናመሰግናለን። በመቀጠል የተከበሩ አቶ ተስፋይ ባንጉ።
አመሰግናለሁ። የተከበሩ አፈ ጉባኤ፣ ክቡር ጠቅላይ ሚኒስትራችን ለምናነሳቸው ጥያቄዎችና አስተያየቶች ማብራሪያና አስተያየት ለመስጠት በማዕከላችን ላይ ስለተገኙ እጅግ አመሰግናለሁ። በቅድሚያ በኢኮኖሚ ክፍል የግብርና ዘርፍ እንደሚከታተል ቋሚ ኮሚቴ በተባበሩት መንግስታት ድርጅትና በዓለም አቀፍ ምግብ ድርጅቶች እንደ ሀገር በምግብ ዋስትና ራሳችን ለመቻል ላደረግነው ጥረት ለሰጡት በሳል አመራርና አቅጣጫ ላገኙት ማበረታቻ ሽልማት እንኳን ደስ አሎት ለማለት እወዳለሁ። በመቀጠል እንደዚህ ተመራጭነት ባነሳለሁትና የመረጠኝ ህዝብ ቢሰሙ ደስ የሚሏቸው የመንገድ የመብራትና የቴሌኮም ጥያቄዎች ቢኖሩም በአሁኑ ሰዓት በአብዛኛው የሀገራችን ህዝቦች ጥያቄ ወደ ሆነው ሰላምና ጸጥታ ኢሹ በማስመልከት ጥያቄን አቀርብሎታለሁ። በእርግጥ በጸጥታና ሰላም የመንግስት፣ የሀገር ሽማግሌዎች፣ የሃይማኖት አባቶች፣ የሲቪክ ማህበራትና ሌሎችም የተቀናጀ የተግባር ምላሽ የሚፈልግ መሆኑ የሚታወቅ ቢሆንም የመንግስት ተጠያቂነት ጉዳይ የማይተካ እንደመሆኑ መጠን በአሁኑ ሰዓት የመንግስት የሰላም ጥርን የሃይማኖት አባቶችና የሀገር ሽማግሌዎች ሽምግልናን ወደ ጎን በመተው በአማራና በኦሮሚያ ክልል ታጥቆ ከሚንቀሳቀሱ ቡድኖች ውጪ አዲስ አበባን ጨምሮ በአንዳንድ የሀገራችን አካባቢዎች የውንብድና እና በተደራጀ ወንጀል ስራ ላይ ተሰማርቶ የዜጎቻችን ሰላማዊና ኢኮኖሚያዊ የማህበራዊ እንቅስቃሴዎችን እያደናቀፉ ያሉ አካላት ከመበራከቱ በተጨማሪ በሂደቱ የሚሳተፉ አንዳንድ ብልሹ ስነምግባር ያላቸው የጸጥታና የፍትህ መዋቅር አባላት መኖሩን እየሰማን እንገኛለን። ጉዳዩን አሳሳቢ የሚያደርገውም ይህኛው ክፍል ነው። ክቡር ጠቅላይ ሚኒስትር፣ የጸጥታና የደህንነት ተቋማት በቴክኖሎጂና በሰው ኃይል ተደራጅቷል በሚባልበት በዚህ ወቅት እነዚህ አይነት ችግሮች መከሰቱ ምክንያቱ ምንድን ነው? ችግሩን በመሰረታዊነት ለመፍታት በጸጥታና በደህንነት ተቋማት በኩል ያለው ቅንጅታዊ አሰራር ምን ይመስላል? በአጥፊዎቹ ላይም የተወሰደ ያለው እርምጃ ካለ ቢገልጹልን። በተመሳሳይ በስነ ምግባር ብልሹ በሆኑ አባላት ምክንያት በዋጋ የማይተመነውን መስዋዕትነት እየከፈሉ ያሉ የጸጥታ መዋቅራችን ስም የሚያጎድፉ አንዳንድ አባላት ላይ የተወሰደና እየተወሰደ ያለ አስተማሪ እርምጃ ካለ ማብራሪያ ቢሰጡን። አመሰግናለሁ።
እናመሰግናለን። በመቀጠል የተከበሩ አቶ ጥላሁን ታምራት።
አመሰግናለሁ። የተከበሩ አፈ ጉባኤ፣ እንዲሁም ክቡር ጠቅላይ ሚኒስትር አመሰግናለሁ። ጥያቄ እንደሚከተለው በንባብ አቀርባለሁ። ክቡር ጠቅላይ ሚኒስትር፣ በሀገራችን የሚከሰቱ የፖለቲካ አለመረጋጋቶችና የጸጥታ ችግሮች ስር የሰደዱ መዋቅራዊና ለረጅም ዘመን ሲንከባለሉ የቆዩ ናቸው። ከእነዚህ ችግሮች ውስጥ አንዱ የተዛባና ነጠላ ትርክት መበራከት መሆኑ እሙን ነው። ይህን ችግር ለመቅረፍ እና የፖለቲካ ባህላችንን በመዋቅር አዎንታዊ ሰላምን ለመገንባት መንግስት ሁሉን አሰባሳቢ ሀገራዊ ትርክትን መገንባት ተቀዳሚ ተግባር እንደሆነ በማመን እየሰራበትም ይገኛል። ክቡር ጠቅላይ ሚኒስትር፣ መንግስት የተዛቡ ትርክቶችን ለማረምና አሰባሳቢ ሀገራዊ ትርክትን ለመገንባት እያከናወነ ያለው ስራ የእስካሁኑ ሂደት ላይ ማብራሪያ ቢሰጥ፣ እንዲሁም ከተለያዩ የህብረተሰብ ክፍሎች እንዲሁም ከህዝባችን የሚጠበቅ ሚና በዚህ ረገድ ላይም ተጨማሪ ማብራሪያ ቢሰጥ። በሌላ በኩል መንግስት ዋልታ ረገጥ እሳቤዎችን ወደ መካከል ለማምጣት ከፍተኛ ጥረት ቢያደርግም በዋናነት በመንግስትና በፓርቲ ውስጥ ያሉ ግለሰቦች ከዋልታ ረገጥ እሳቤ ባለመውጣታቸው የፖለቲካ እሳቤዎቻችን አንድ ወደፊት ሁለት ወደ ኋላ እየሆነ መጥቷል። ክቡር ጠቅላይ ሚኒስትር፣ መንግስት ጫፍና ጫፍ ረግጠው የውስጥ ህመም የሆኑበትን በመንግስትና በፓርቲ ውስጥ ያሉ ተዋንያን የሀሳብ ጥራት እንዲኖራቸው ለማድረግ ካልሆነም ፖለቲካዊና አስተዳደራዊ እርምጃ ለመውሰድ ምን ያህል ዝግጁ ነው? ምንስ እየሰራ ይገኛል? አመሰግናለሁ።
እናመሰግናለን። በመቀጠል የተከበሩ አቶ ወልደየስ ደበበ።
አመሰግናለሁ። የተከበረው አፈ ጉባኤ፣ ክቡር ጠቅላይ ሚኒስትር ዶክተር አብይ አህመድ ከምክር ቤቱ አባላት ለሚናነሳቸው ጥያቄዎች ምላሽና ማብራሪያ ለመስጠት በመካከላችን በመገኘቱ ያመሰገንኩ። ከጥያቄ በፊት በቅድሚያ የኢትዮጵያ ሕዝብ የረጅም ጊዜ የወደብ ባለቤትነት ጥያቄ ነበረው። የህልውና ጥያቄ መሆኑን መንግስት በተደጋጋሚ አስቦና ተገንዝቦ በእርሶ አርቆ ሀሳቢነትና በሳል አመራር የጋራ ተጠቃሚነትን ማዕከል ባደረገ መልኩ የተጫወቱት ጠንካራ የዲፕሎማሲ ስራ ሀገራችን ኢትዮጵያ ተፈጥሯዊና ህጋዊ መሪን በተከተለ መንገድ ወደብ የመጠቀምና የማልማት ባለቤትነት ውል በመፈረሟ መላ ኢትዮጵያውያንን በእጅጉ ተደስቷል። ክቡር ጠቅላይ ሚኒስትር፣ እርሶንም ለዚህ ለተገኘው ታላቅና ታሪካዊ ስኬት እንኳን ደስ አለዎት ለማለት ይፈልጋለሁ። ወደ ጥያቄ ሲሄድ፣ ጥያቄ 1 መንግስት የፖለቲካ ምህዳሩን ለማስፋትና በሀሳብ ላይ የተመሰረተ ፉክክር እንዲኖር ፍላጎት እንዳለውና ይህንን የሚያሳይ እርምጃዎች በህግና አሰራር ሲተገበር ተስተውሏል። ይሁንና ከቅርብ ጊዜ ወዲህ ከመንግስት ጋር የሀሳብ ልዩነት ባላቸው አካላትና የተለያዩ የፓርቲና የሚዲያ አካላት ላይ መንግስት ወከባ እያደረሰ እንዲሁም እስር ያካሄደ እንደሆነ በአንዳንድ አካላት ይገለጻል። ክቡር ጠቅላይ ሚኒስትር፣ ከዚህ ጋር ተያይዞ መንግስት አምባገነን የሆነ ነው ለሚሉ አካላት ምን ምላሽ አለዎት? 2 በሀገራችን ኢትዮጵያ ባለፉት 5 ተከታታይ በጀት ዓመታት በፌዴራል መንግስት ትኩረት ተሰጥቶ በጊዜና በጥራት ከተሰሩባቸው ፕሮጀክቶች መካከል አንዱ የመንገድ መሰረተ ልማት ግንባታ ነው። ይህም በኢትዮጵያ ለረጅም ጊዜ ተወዛዝፎ በጅምር ከተቀሩት ግንባታዎች በተጨማሪ የህዝቡን የኢኮኖሚ እድገት ለማፋጠን ታሳቢ የተደረጉ አዳዲስ የመንገድ ፕሮጀክቶችም ተጀምረው እንዲጠናቀቅ መደረጋቸው ከየትኛውም ጊዜ በላይ የመንግስት የማስፈጸም አቅም ጠንካራ መሆኑን ያሳያል። ሆኖም ግን ከመንገድ ተደራሽነት አንጻር ከዚህ በፊት ከነበረው ብዙ መሻሻሎችን ያሳየ ቢሆንም አሁንም በታቀደላቸው ጊዜ ስራቸው ተጀምሮ ያልተጠናቀቁና ታቅዶም ያልተጀመሩ የመንገድ ፕሮጀክቶች ጉዳይ እጅግ በጣም አሳሳቢ ሆነዋል። ለአብነት በደቡብ ኢትዮጵያ ክልል ባሪ ዞን ከጂንካ መንዲር የአስፋልት መንገድ ግንባታ ከዛሬ 9 ዓመት በፊት ተጀምሮ እስካሁን ድረስ ግንባታው እየተጓተተ በሂደቱም የጥራት ችግር ሌላ ፈተና ሆኖ ይገኛል። ከዚህ በተጨማሪ በ2013 ዓ.ም የፌዴራል መንግስት የበጀት እቅድ አካል የነበረው አሪዞንን ከባስኬቶ ዞን ጋር የሚያገናኝ ከቶልታ ገሊላ ላስካና ከሺሺ ሮባመር የአስፋልት መንገድ ግንባታ እስካሁን ሳይጀመር በፌዴራል ደረጃ ጨረታቸው ከተሰረዙ ፕሮጀክቶች ውስጥ አንዱ ሆኖ በየዓመቱ በእቅድ ደረጃ እየተሸጋገረ የሚገኝ በመሆኑ በህዝቡ ዘንድ በከፍተኛ ሁኔታ የልማትና የመልካም አስተዳደር ጥያቄ ሆኖ የቅሬታ ምንጭም እስከ መሆን ደርሷል። በተለይም በአካባቢ የሚገኙ አርሶ አደሮችና ነጋዴዎች እንዲሁም የተለያዩ የህብረተሰብ ክፍሎች መንገድ ባለመኖሩ ምክንያት ለተለያዩ ማህበራዊና ኢኮኖሚያዊ ችግሮች እየተዳረጉም ይገኛሉ። ክቡር ጠቅላይ ሚኒስትር፣ በኢትዮጵያ ውስጥ በሁሉም ክልሎች በፌዴራል ደረጃ ጨረታቸው ለተሰረዛባቸውና ችግሮች ጎልቶ በሚታይባቸው አካባቢዎች በመንገድ መሰረተ ልማት ላይ ተገቢውን ምላሽ እንዲያገኙ ዘንድ በመንግስት በኩል ምን የተለየ የመፍትሄ አቅጣጫ የተቀመጠ አለ? ካለ ማብራሪያ ቢሰጥበት። ገለቶማ።
እናመሰግናለን። በመቀጠል የተከበሩ ወይዘሮ አያንቱ ጉተታ። የተከበሩ ወይዘሮ አያንቱ።
ገለቶማ ከበጀሞ አፋያይ ከበጀሞ
ቁጥር 2 ላይ እንድታረጉ የትርጉም እንትኑ ቁጥር 2 ላይ ነው የሚገኘው።
ከበጀሞ ሙሚቸ ሚኒስቴራ ወቢ ሚናኛ ታምር ከኔሱፍ አርሳሲን ከፈላ ቱርተኒ ፊ አመስ ከፈላ ጅርተኒን ቡአ ሆላና ገልማ የሮ ደርቤ አበተኛ ታፍ ቆና ሞቱማ ገምቶመኒን በዳሰ ከበጀማ መዳሊያ አግሪኮላ አርገሜን ገመቹ ጉዳነቲ ደጋሃሜ መቃው መተጎዲነ ወለገባ አና ዋዩቱ ቃፊ ዋማ ገሎ በከነ ቡክፈቴ ኢብሱን በገገመደን በገገመን ጀቹን በርባድ ኢታንሱን ጋፊን ጋፈቹ በርባድ አከርማን ገዲተን ኤስ ሞቱማን ሀለ ቀበተማ ብየ ኬኛን ተርሲሞ ፎየ ኢንሰ ዲነግዴ ቦጬ ሆጂራ ኦልቹን ተርካንፊወን ፉደቴ ፊ ፉደተማ ጅሩን ረኮ ወልጠጣ ዲነግዴን ብየ ኬኛ ኬሰ ቱሬ ባሱን ቡአ ኦላና ጅሩ ገረ ፉልዱራት አከ ተርካንፈቱፍ ከን ታሲሴ ፊ በዳዲና ኢትዮጵያ ከምርከኔሴ ተኡን ቀበተማን ቡአወን ገልማን አገርሲስቱዳ ተሬሱንስ ኒ ደንዳ ሀተው መሌ ገመዲ ነግዴቲን ቆርማቲሌን የሮአማ ከነ ብየ ኬኛ ቆራጅረን ኬሳ ቶኮፋ ቃለይንሰ ጅሬኛ ወልቀበቴ ወንቲ ገነመ ቢታሜ ዋሬ ቦዳ ደቻን ከንደበሉ ተውንሳ ከምብራን ቃለይንሰ ጅሬኛ ወልቀበቴ ኡመትኒ ኬኛ ጉያቲ ሰዲኛቹ ብረ ደርቤ የሮቲ ጉያቲ ቶኮ ኛቹን ኡልፋታ ተኤቲ ከንጅሩ ተውሳ ከምብራን hanqina oomisha walii wal qabatee rakkoon kan jiru ta'uunsa baay'inni uummataa dabalaa jiruu fi haalli oomisha keenyaa wal simuun wal qabatee rakkoon jiraachuu hojimaata daldala biyya keenyaa wajjinis wal qabatee rakkoon kan jiru ta'uusa tasgabbiin kan hin jirre kan waliin fakkaanne akka ta'e haalli itti fayyadama faayinaansii biyya keenyaarree rakkoo guddaa kan qabu ta'uun isaa rakkoo ijoo caqasamuu danda'anidha. Kabajamoo muummicha ministeeraa fayyaalessummaan waliigala dinagdee maakiroo biyya keenyaa gama agarsiistuuwwan dinagdee ijoo ta'aniin waliin gaafa madaallu sadarkaan ni jiru irratti ibsituu kenname. Dabalataan haala jiruuf jireenya hojjetaa mootummaa waliin kan wal qabatu akkasumas kutaalee hawaasa gadi aanaa fooyyessuuf akka mootummaatti tarkaanfileen fudhatamaa jiran kan biraan rakkooleen mudatanii fi gara fuulduraatti akka mootummaatti wantoonni karoorfamanii jiran irratti ibsituu kenname. Gama biraatiin qaala'insa gatii to'achuuf kaayyoo ijoo godhatee kan qophaa'e imaammata maallaqa baankotaa wajjin kan wal qabatu hangi maallaqaa liqeessuu baankotaa kan bara darbeerra dhibbantaa 14 ol akka hin caalle daangeffamee jira. Akkasumas liqa waggaa isaaniirraa immoo tireejar boondii akka bitatan kan dirqisiisu qajeelfamni kun hanqina maallaqa baankoo irratti fidee jira. Kabajamoo muummicha ministeeraa kaayyoon imaammatni maallaqaa kun ba'eef qaala'insi gatii yeroo ammaa kana jiru to'achuuf waan ta'eef imaammatni qabatamaan dhugaa lafa jiru kanaan yeroo wal bira qabnee madaallu bu'aan jiruuf jijjiiramni dhufe maal jechuu dandeenya? Dhuguma qaala'insa gatii to'achuu danda'eera jechuu dandeenya. Gama biraatiin qabbanaa'ummaa yookaan hir'achuu galii seektaroota baankotaa mudatee wal qabatee dhiibbaa inni dinagdee biyyaa irratti fiduu danda'u sirreessuuf karoorri dabalataa qophaa'e gama mootummaatiin yoo jiraate ibsituuti itti kenname kan jedhu gaafachuun barbaada. Galatoomaa horaa bulaa.
እናመሰግናለን። በመቀጠል የተከበሩ ወይዘሮ መሰለች ካዊሶ።
አመሰግናለሁ የተከበሩ አፈጉባኤ፣ እንዲሁም ኢፌዴሪ ክቡር ጠቅላይ ሚኒስትር ለምናነሳቸው ጥያቄዎች ምላሽና ማብራሪያ ለመስጠት በመካከላችን ስለተገኙ ከልብ አመሰግናለሁ። ክቡር ጠቅላይ ሚኒስትር ያደገችና በኢኮኖሚ የዳበረች የጠነከረች አገር እንዲኖረንና ካደጉት አገራት ተርታ እንድትሰለፍ በሀገር ውስጥም ሀገር በቀል ኢኮኖሚ አማራጭ በማቀድ የተለያዩ ጫናዎችና የሀገር ውስጥም ፈተናዎች በመቋቋም እየተሰራ ያሉ ዘርፈ ብዙ ልማቶችና እየመጣ ያለው ለውጦች ለዛሬ ትውልድ ብቻ ሳይሆን ለነገ ትውልድ ትልቅ ፋይዳ ያለው በመሆኑ ያለኝን ክብርና አድናቆት እገልጻለሁ። በመቀጠል ጥያቄን በሚከተለው አቀርባለሁ። በሀገር በቀል ኢኮኖሚ ሪፎርም በተወሰዱ እርምጃዎችና ባለፉት 5 ዓመታት የአገሪቱን ዕዳ ጫና ለማቃለል በተሰሩ ስራዎች የዕዳ ምጣኔ በአጠቃላይ ሀገራዊ የምርት ጋር ሲነጻጸር በከፍተኛ ሁኔታ ዝቅ ብሏል። ሆኖም ግን በቅርብ የኢትዮጵያ የዩሮ ቦንድ ወለድን ለመክፈል የውጭ ምንዛሪ እጥረት ስለገጠመው መክፈል አልቻለችም በማለት ከፍተኛ የተዛባ መረጃ ሲሰራጭ ቆይቷል። ክቡር ጠቅላይ ሚኒስትር፣ ኢትዮጵያ የዩሮ ቦንድ ወለድ ክፍያን በማስተዳደር ረገድ ያለው አፈጻጸም በተመለከተና እንዲሁም የሀገራችንን የዕዳ ጫና ለመቀነስ እየሰሩ ባሉ ስራዎች ላይ ማብራሪያ ቢሰጡ አመሰግናለሁ።
እናመሰግናለን። በመቀጠል የተከበሩ ወይዘሮ አለምነሽ ብርሃኑ።
አመሰግናለሁ የተከበሩ አፈ ጉባኤ። አመሰግናለሁ ክቡር ጠቅላይ ሚኒስትር። በቅድሚያ የተባበሩት መንግስታት የምግብና የግብርና ድርጅት ፋኦ ባበረከተው የከበረው አግሪኮላ ሜዳሊያ ሽልማት የሀገራችንን ክብር ከፍ የሚያደርግና በኢኮኖሚ ዘርፍ እየተሰራ ያለው ስራ ያረጋገጠ ስለመሆኑ ማሳያ መሆኑን ለመጥቀስ እወዳለሁ። በመቀጠል ጥያቄ እንደሚከተለው አቀርባለሁ። መንግስት ለግብርና ዘርፍ የሰጠው ትኩረት በከፍተኛ በመሆኑ በዘርፉ የሚስተዋሉ መዋቅራዊ ችግሮችን ለመቅረፍ የሚደረገው ጥረት ተጨባጭ ውጤት እያስመዘገበ መጥቷል። ለአብነት ባለፈው ዓመት የተፈጠረው የማዳበሪያ አቅርቦት ችግር ከመሰረቱ ለመፍታት መንግስት ፈጣን እርምጃ በመውሰድ ለአርሶ አደሩ በተመጣጣኝ ዋጋ እንዲቀርብ የተጀመረው ስራ ተጠናክሮ መቀጠል አለበት። በዚህም የመንግስት ቁራጥ ውሳኔ እንደ ሀገር 20 ቢሊዮን ብር ማዳን ተችሏል። ይህም ምርትና ምርታማነትን ለማሳደግ ሚናው የጎላ ድርሻ ያለው ሲሆን በግብርናው ዘርፍ የስራ ዕድል ፈጠራን ለማበረታታትና ኢንቨስትመንትን ከማስፋፋት አንጻር አይነተኛ ሚና ይኖረዋል። ሆኖም ግን ክቡር ጠቅላይ ሚኒስትር የማዳበሪያ ስርጭት ምዝበራና ህገወጥ የማዳበሪያ ንግድ ከመከላከል አንጻር እንዲሁም ለአርሶ አደሩ በጊዜና ያለ እንግልት እንዲደርስ ከማድረግ አኳያ በአንዳንድ ክልሎች በተለይም በአማራ ክልል አሁንም ጥያቄ እየተነሳ ነውና ምን እየተሰራ ነው? አመሰግናለሁ።
እናመሰግናለን። በመቀጠል የተከበሩ ወይዘሮ ተስፋነሽ ወልደ ማርያም።
አመሰግናለሁ የተከበሩ አፈ ጉባኤ፣ እንዲሁም የኢፌዴሪ ጠቅላይ ሚኒስትር በምክር ቤቱ አሰራርና አባላት ምግባር ደንብ መሰረት ለምናነሳቸው ጥያቄዎች ምላሽ ለመስጠት ስለተገኙ አመሰግናለሁ። እኔም በእርስዎ ሀሳብ አመንጭነት ስለተሰራ የአድዋ መታሰቢያ ፕሮጀክቱ ያመሰገንኩኝ፣ ቀጥሎ ወደ ጥያቄ ገባለሁ። በማደግ ላይ ባሉ ሀገራት የህገ ወጥ የገንዘብ ዝውውር የልማት ማነቆ እንደሆነ በተደጋጋሚ ይገለጻል። በአብዛኛው የዚህ ገንዘብ ምንጭ ሙስናና የተለያየ ህገወጥ ድርጊቶች እንደሆኑ ይታወቃል። የቅርብ ጊዜ ሪፖርቶች እንደሚያመለክቱ አፍሪካ 88.6 ቢሊዮን ዶላር በህገወጥ ገንዘብ ዝውውር ምክንያት በዓመት እንደምታጣ ይመለከታል። ይህ የተዘረፈ የህዝብ ሀብት አሸባሪዎችን ለመደገፍ ህገወጥ መሳሪያ ግዥ ለመፈጸምና በውጭ ሀገራት ንብረት ለመፍራት እየዋለ እንደሚገኝ ጥናቶች ያረጋግጣሉ። ክቡር ጠቅላይ ሚኒስትር፣ ይህ የህገወጥ የፋይናንስ ፍሰት በኢትዮጵያ ልማትና ብልጽግና ውጥኖች ላይ መሰናክል እንዳይፈጥር በመንግስት ምን እየተሰራ ይገኛል? እንዲሁም ችግሩን ውጤታማ በሆነ መንገድ ለመፍታት የህግ አስከባሪዎችን የፋይናንስ ቁጥጥርና የዓለም አቀፍ ትብብርን ለማጠናከር በመንግስት በኩል የተሰራ ያለ ስራ ብራራ ብዬ ስቀጥል፣ ክቡር ጠቅላይ ሚኒስትር፣ አዲስ የደቡብ ምዕራብ ኢትዮጵያ ህዝቦች ክልል የለውጡ ውጤት መሆኑ ይታወቃል። ለዚህም ማመስገን እንወዳለን። ክልሉ አዲስ ከመሆኑ ጋር ተያይዞ ተጀምሮ የቆሙና ያደሩ ፕሮጀክቶች ያለበትና አዲስ የመሰረተ ልማት ጥያቄ ያለበት የህዝብ ጥያቄ ሆኗል። በመሆኑም በመንግስት በኩል የታሰበ ነገር ካለ ብብራራ። አመሰግናለሁ።
እናመሰግናለን። በመቀጠል የተከበሩ ዶክተር አወቀ አምዛይ
አመሰግናለሁ። የተከበሩ አፈ ጉባኤ፣ አመሰግናለሁ። የተከበሩ ክቡር ጠቅላይ ሚኒስትር፣ ጥያቄን እንደሚከተለው አቀርባለሁ። እንደ አውሮፓ አቆጣጠር ጥር 1 ቀን 2024 ዓመተ ምህረት የኢትዮጵያ መንግስትና ሶማሌላንድ ኢትዮጵያ የባህር ኃይልና የንግድ ፖርት የምትመሰረትበትን 20 ኪሎ ሜትር የባህር ጠረፍ ከሶማሌላንድ ለ50 ዓመታት በሚቆይ ውል ለማግኘትና በልዋጭም ሶማሌላንድ በዓለም አቀፍ ታዋቂ ከሆነ የኢትዮጵያ አየር መንገድ ወይም ከኢትዮጵያ ቴሌኮሙኒኬሽን ድርሻ እንዲኖራት የሚያስችል በሰጥቶ መቀበል መሪ ላይ የተመሰረተ የመግባቢያ ሰነድ መፈራረማቸው ይታወሳል። ይህ ስምምነት የተፈጸመው በርከት ያሉ ውስብስብ ውጫዊ አካባቢያዊ ጂኦፖለቲካዊ ሁኔታዎች፣ የሱዳን ብጥብጥ፣ የእስራኤል ፍልስጤም ወረራና ከእሱ ጋር የተነሳ የየመን ሁቲ አማጽያን በባበል መንደብ እና በቀይ ባህር በሚተላለፉ የምዕራባውያን መርከቦች ላይ እርምጃ እየወሰደ በመሆኑ በአካባቢው ውጥረት በተባባሰበት እንዲሁም በሶማሊያ የአልሸባብ የሽብር ቡድን ተግባር በዘላቂነት ባልተገታበት በዓለም ሀያላን አገራት የቀይ ባህርና የኤደን ባህረ ሰላጤን ለመቆጣጠር ፉክክርና ሽኩቻ ውስጥ በገቡበት ግብጽ ከህዳሴ ግድብ ጋራ በተገናኘ ኢትዮጵያን ለመጉዳት አሁንም እያሰረች ባለችበት ሁኔታ በመኖሩና ይህም በቀጥታም ይሁን በተዘዋዋሪ ከኢትዮጵያ ህልውና ጋር የተያዘ በመሆኑ ይህ የተወሰነው ቁርጠኝነትና ድፍረት የተሞላበት ውሳኔ የወደፊቷን የኢትዮጵያ ጉዳይ በርቀት ያሰበ ስትራቴጂክ ውሳኔ በመሆኑ እውቀት ጥበብና ዲፕሎማሲያዊ ጥበብ በተሞላበት ሁኔታ የሚሰራበት ጉዳይ ነው የሚል አስተሳሰብ አለኝ። በሌላ በኩል ይህ ውሳኔ በአገር ውስጥ በተለይም በአማራ፣ በኦሮሚያ፣ በትግራይ እና በተወሰኑ የደቡብ ኢትዮጵያ አካባቢዎች ባለው የሰላም መናጋት የታጀበ ነው። የመግባቢያ ስምምነቱ ኢትዮጵያ ላለፉት 33 ዓመታት የባህር በር እጦት የተነሳ የገጠማትን ኢኮኖሚያዊ ችግር በከፊልም ቢሆን የሚቀርፍ ብቻ ሳይሆን በዓለም ላይ እየጨመረ ከመጣው የኃይል ፉክክር አንጻር የባህር ኃይል ወይም ሲ ፓወር ወደፊት ሊኖር የሚችለውን ወታደራዊ የጸጥታና ደህንነት ጉዳይ ወሳኝ ሚናን ያገናዘበ ውሳኔ ነው ያለነው። በዚህ ሁሉ ውጥንቅጥ ውስጥ በመሆኑ በአንድ በኩል በአካባቢ እየታየ ባለው ውጥረት መካከል አገራችን ተጠቃሚ እንድትሆን ከአካባቢ ሀገራትና ከሚመለከታቸው ሀያላን አገራት ድጋፍ ማግኘት፣ በሌላ በኩልም ይህ ስትራቴጂካዊ ውሳኔ ስኬታማ እንዲሆን አገራችን ካለችበት የእርስ በርስ ግፍልና ህልውናን እያሰጋ ካለው የጸጥታን መደፍረስና የሰላም እጦት ችግር በመውጣት ውሳኔው ከግብ እንዲደርስ ለማድረግ የሚያስፈልግ ነው። እንደሚታወቀው ይህ በኢትዮጵያና በሶማሌላንድ መካከል የተፈጸመ የመግባቢያ ስምምነት የመጀመሪያው አይደለም። እንደ አውሮፓ አቆጣጠር በ2016 ዓመተ ምህረት የተባበሩት አረብ ኤሚሬትስ ዱባይ ፖርት ወርልድ የሚል ኩባንያ የበርበራን ወደብ ለማልማትና ለማስተዳደር ከሶማሌላንድ መንግስት ጋር ተዋውላ እየሰራች ስትሆን አሜሪካን በሶማሌላንድ ወታደራዊ ሰፈር ገንብታለች። ምንም እንኳን ተግባራዊ ባይሆንም ኢትዮጵያን በ2018 ከበርበራ ወደብ 19 በመቶ ድርሻ ወስዳ ማልማት የሚያስችላትን ውል ተፈራርማ ነበር። ከዚህም ውጪ በርካታ የተባበሩት መንግስታት ድርጅት አገራት ለሶማሌላንድ የመንግስትነት እውቅና ባይሰጡም በሀርጌሳ አገናኝ የዲፕሎማቲክ ጽህፈት ቤቶች ወይም ሌዘን ኦፊስ አሏቸው። ሶማሌላንድም ከ20 በማያንሱ የተባበሩት መንግስታት ድርጅት አባል ሀገራት የቆንስላ ጽህፈት ቤቶች አላት። እነኚህ ሁሉ በመሬት ላይ ያሉ ሁኔታዎች የሚያሳዩት ሶማሌላንድ ከሌሎች ሀገሮች ጋር የፈጠረቻቸው ግንኙነቶች አሁን ኢትዮጵያ ከሶማሌላንድ ከተፈራረመችው የመግባቢያ ስምምነት የተለዩ ያለመሆኑን ነው። ይህ ሁሉ ሲፈጸም ከሶማሌ ፌዴራላዊ ዲሞክራሲያዊ ሪፐብሊክ እና ከሌሎች አካላት ያልተነሳው ጩኸት አሁን ምን አዲስ ነገር ተፈጥሮ በዚህ ሁኔታ በረከተ? በእኛ በኩልስ ይህ ጩኸት ሊከሰት እንደሚችል ተገምቶ ምን ዝግጅት ተደርጎ ነበር? ክቡር ጠቅላይ ሚኒስትር፣ የኢትዮጵያ የባህር በር ያጣችው ኢፍትሐዊ በሆነ ታሪካዊ ክህደት መሆኑ የሚታወቅ ነው። ይህንን ለመለከታቸው ሀገሮች ዓለም አቀፍና አፍሪካዊ ድርጅቶች በማስረዳትና በማሳመን ኢትዮጵያ የባህር በር የሚያስፈልጋት አሁን ከደረሰችበት ኢኮኖሚያዊና ዲሞግራፊ እድገት አንጻር ብቻ ሳይሆን የባህር በር ማጣቷ በህልውናዋ ላይ አደጋን እየጋረጠ መሆኑን በተጨባጭ በማሳመን እንዲሁም ኢትዮጵያ በምስራቅ አፍሪካ በተለይም በሶማሊያ ፌዴራላዊ ሪፐብሊክ አሸባሪ የአልሸባብና የአልቃዳ ኃይሎች እንዳይስፋፉ የአካባቢውን ቀጠና እንዳያወቁ የተጫወተች ያለችው የማይተካ ሚና ተገቢ ግንዛቤ እንዲያገኝ በማድረግ በአጠቃላይ እነኚህ ሁሉ በመሬት ላይ ያሉ ሁኔታዎች የኢትዮጵያ የባህር በር ፍላጎት ጥያቄ ተገቢ መሆኑን በምስራቅ አፍሪካ ቀንድ እና ቀይ ባህር አካባቢ ፍላጎት ላላቸው እና እየተወዛገቡ ላሉ በተለይም ለሀያላኑ መንግስታትና ለአካባቢ ሀገራት በማስረዳትና በማሳመን ኢትዮጵያ ከሶማሌላንድ ጋር የተፈራረመችው የመግባቢያ ስምምነት እንዲደግፉ አስቀድሞ ምን ያህል ተመክሮበታል ወይም ስምምነት ላይ ተደርሷል? በሌላ በኩልም ይህ በሶማሌላንድ እና በኢትዮጵያ መካከል የተፈራረመው የመግባቢያ ሰነድ ውሳኔ ወደ ኋላ የሚመለስበት ሁኔታ ይኖራል ተብሎ ባይታሰብም የሶማሌላንድ መንግስት ጉዳይ በአፍሪካ ህብረትና በተመድ እንዲሁም በሌሎች አገራት እልባት ያላገኘ የአገርነቷ ጉዳይ እልባት ያላገኘ መሆኑ አገራችን ከፍተኛ አጣብቂኝ ውስጥ የከተተ ይመስላል። ከዚህ አንጻር ነገር በቶሎ ካልተቆረጠና ውሎ ካደረ ተጨማሪ ጣጣ እየጠመቀ ይመጣልና የኢትዮጵያ መንግስት ከዚህ አጣብቂኝ ወጥቶ የመግባቢያ ስምምነቱን ተግባራዊ ለማድረግ በተጨባጭ ከመለከታቸው አካላት ጋር የሚያስማማ ምን ያህል ጥልቀትና ውጤት ያለው ዲፕሎማሲያዊ ስራ እያከናወነ ይገኛል? አመሰግናለሁ።
እናመሰግናለን። በመቀጠል የተከበሩ አቶ ጆን አህመድ
አመሰግናለሁ። የተከበሩ አፈ ጉባኤ፣ እንዲሁም ክቡር ጠቅላይ ሚኒስቴር ውድ ጊዜውን ሰውተው ከተከበረው የምክር ቤት አባል ለሚነሳ ጥያቄ መልስ ለመስጠት በመካከላችን ስለተገኙ አመሰግናለሁ። ክቡር ጠቅላይ ሚኒስቴር፣ የዛሬውን ጉባኤያችንን ለየት የሚያደርገው የስኬት ድሎች ታጅበን ጉባኤያችንን ማድረጋችን ነው። በእርሶ ትጋትና በመንግስታችን ጥረት ስራ አንደኛ ሀገራችን የብሪክስ ሙሉ አባል በሆነችበት፣ ሁለተኛ ሀገራችን በታሪክ ዓለም አቀፍ መድረክ ላይ በስንዴ ተመጽዋዕነት የምትታወቅ ሀገር በስንዴ አምራችነት ተሸላሚ ሆነን በዩኤን ፋኦ አግሪኮላ አዋርድ አሸናፊ በመሆኑ መላው የኢትዮጵያ ሕዝብ ታሪክ ቀያሪ ሽልማት ነውና እንኳን ደስ አለን፣ እርሶም እንኳን ደስ አለዎት ለማለት ፈልጋለሁ። ሶስተኛ ሀገራችን ከ33 ዓመታት የጂኦግራፊ እስረኝነት ተላቃ የባህር በር የሚያስገኝልን ስኬታማ ጉዞ በመጀመራችን ሙሴም የእስራኤልን ሕዝብ ባህር አሻግሮ ነው በሙስሊሙም በክርስቲያኑም ሕዝብ ዘንድ በበጎ ስሙ የሚታወሰውና እኔም የኢትዮጵያን ሕዝብ በጥረቶና በመንግስቱ ጥረት ቆራጥነት ከባህር በር ጋር እያገናኙ ለሚገኘው ታላቅ ስራ ኢትዮጵያዊ ሙሴ ብዬ በእኔ ትውልድ ሰይሜዎታለሁ። እንደሚቀጥለው ጥያቄን አቀርባለሁ። ሀገራችን ኢትዮጵያ ከሀገራዊ ለውጡ ማግስት በጠንካራ ፕሮጀክት አስተዳደርና ክትትል ስርዓት በመዘርጋት አመርቂ ውጤት እያስመዘገበች ትገኛለች።
Ethiopia is registering success due to the performance in the completion of projects. For instance, power generating projects including the Renaissance and the Koisha dams have been built. In addition, the Gaveta Lahagar and Gaveta for generation projects have inspired unreachable areas, created high number of employment, and has increased the potential of Ethiopia to be a tourist destination. However, there are some complaints made by the public because there are road projects in Dima, Ambo, Badale area. Though the foundation stone was put, operational activities has not yet been commenced. While the road projects completed in the past 5 years are higher than those completed in the previous years, there are some things need to be improved. The other one is about Ethio Telecom. Rural farmers, rural residents are crying because they are forgotten by Ethio Telecom for not having a proper network coverage in their places of residence. And if you can explain, thank you. Thank you. Honorable Asiya Abdul Qadir. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Prime Minister Yamat, for coming to the House to answer our questions. I would like to present questions as follows. Due to the shortage of rain in the past, in some parts of Amhara, Afar, and Tigray, there are cases of drought. The government, in terms of providing assistance and coordinating humanitarian aid, the government is frequently criticized for not doing as much as it should. So if you can explain what you have been doing. Thank you. Thank you. Honorable Skindra. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I would like to thank the Prime Minister for coming here to answer our questions. I would like also to say a few words about the Adwa project for 1 minute. So, we have seen during our visits that this project has been completed successfully with extraordinary engineering skills, and it has included the symbols of patriots from all over the country. That is what I saw, and I have a big respect for that. And in terms of nation building, for transferring a positive thought to the next generation, the Prime Minister needs to be appreciated personally for that. Here is my question. Since recently, in relation to sport games, there is what we call a betting in these sport games. This is becoming a new experience. This is a gambling in sport, and it is causing issues like money laundering and other financial related issues, and also causing individuals for poverty, addiction, depression and unemployment. Some other countries have banned sport betting, knowing its consequences on their people. In the current circumstances of the country, this problem is expanding toward these regional states in addition to Addis, and the youth section of the society is being exposed. Your Excellency, what is the government doing, and what special attention has it given to address social, economic and political impacts? በዚህ ነው የምንሰማው።
Tourist attractions and destinations to expand those areas. Over the past 5 years, extensive works have been done. However, the peace condition, Western consulars and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the report they make are becoming obstacles. Just to avert this and tackle this and increase tourist numbers and introduce new tourist destinations, what activities are underway? And recently there was a call from the government calling Ethiopian-born diaspora and regarding organizing forums where political discussion can be led. What plan is there with the government? Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, Honorable Dr. Tawfiq Abdullahi. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. As previous MPs raised, I shall read out my question. Our government sovereignty and giving focus and attention to the neighboring countries and conducting that diplomacy, there are successes in diplomacy. So the membership request of BRICS of Ethiopia has been responded to in a short period of time, and Pan-Africanism and to become Voice of Africa, based on changing political atmosphere of the world. Your Excellency, in our country, in defending Al-Shabaab and other terrorist activities in the whole of Africa, so the role of leadership in the region of Ethiopia, what does it look like? And other Pan-Africanism regarding the unification of regional unification. So to have Ethiopia to play the role expected from it, and free trade zone implementing that, what is the implementation and accomplishment so far? Our country, worldwide and continental, regarding political organizations, it has been establishing and founder and known for that. And in history of diplomacy, both with Western and Eastern blocs, without becoming supporter to none of them, and to be heard as a voice of Africa, and that has been the practice. But recently, after it has become BRICS member, in the Western world, it's considered that Ethiopia has gone to the Eastern. Your Excellency, for the comments made in this regard, in the bilateral discussions and in different ways, to explain and make known our diplomatic stand, what part our government has done in that regard. Thank you very much. Next, Honorable Dr. Abraham Alamani. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Your Excellency Prime Minister, so that you are among us to respond to our questions and give explanations that you are among us. I would like to thank you for that. Next, Your Excellency Prime Minister, under your leadership and guidance, our country, the success it is achieving, victories in the world forum, I have no respect and gratitude for that. Next to that, I shall read out my question as follows. Ethiopia in the past 3 decades, in just 5 ways, the sea access it has lost to get is peacefully based on giving and taking away, and based on that, the effort it's making within the country and foreigners, it's being given different meanings. Recently, the memorandum of understanding being made with the Somaliland, it's being given different meanings by different entities. So, Your Excellency, in connection with that agreement and the benefits it has for our country, I would like to give more explanation, especially complaints made by the Somali government. What is the response by your government? Moreover, in our country, in peaceful and just way, and in connection with that, political and geopolitical and other pressures to defend them out. So the government, its foreign policy, security and peace, what activities are being done by the government? What is the preparedness in that regard? Recently, in connection with Renaissance Dam, the tripartite discussion has been concluded without any agreement. There are no intimidation from the Egypt side. So the government has given the appropriate response. So if Egypt is targeting Ethiopia and activities in the neighboring country that is considered as a danger to the sovereignty of the country. So such activities, to defend it ahead early and to defend out any threatening actions or forceful actions, what preparedness is there with the government, and what is the bilateral relation with the neighboring countries, and at what level it is. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And based on the questions raised, responses and explanation, I would like to pass it and give the opportunity to His Excellency, the Prime Minister. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, Honorable MPs, Member of the House. Once again, that you have given me an opportunity to respond to the country issues. Thank you. First, I would like to respond to the area I would like to answer in connection with peace and security. I would like to respond and focus on those questions. As you have raised all, peace is the development we are intending for the togetherness we are thinking about. That's very important and essential. Peace is very expensive, and it requires, expensive protection and maintenance. It's a very valuable commodity. Without peace, we cannot imagine and dream of big issues. Ethiopian peace, Ethiopian well-being, Ethiopian security, those that can harm. So it is, the main point that threaten our peace and security. First, the political intention, the way to succeed political intention, and the practice. There is problem with that. One individual or group to have when there is political aspiration, getting organized and winning through ideas and then taking over power. We don't have that experience over the past 50 years. So the culture, political thinking, or the forces, they are not succeeding their ideas through ideas. So using firearms, that's the biggest breakage. The second is, so all solutions, problem solving, individuals, groups, and among the people, when those problems are encountered with, to solve that problem, the practice of discussing, negotiating, mediation, that experience is declining. The third, when there is peace beginnings from right and left, there is no experience of putting stuff on the way of peace. And instead of encouraging peaceful way, obstacles are being put, traps are being put, and dragging back such efforts. This is expanding these issues. Ethiopian unity, Ethiopian national interest, the problems, that would be okay, but Ethiopian unity, Ethiopian national interest, so they are not centered on those issues. If they are centered at Ethiopian national interest, Ethiopia's accessing Red Sea and the attempts we are making in that regard, it's not only for all Ethiopians, all those who friends who understand the rights and the right issues of Ethiopia will understand you positively. But Ethiopian unity, Ethiopian nationalism, without being centered on that, individual for their own personal interest or for group interest, these important and essential country issues, we are easily going to conflicts, killing each other, harming each other, and posing obstacles to our development that are being seen in connection with negotiation, peace negotiation, repeatedly now and then. What results have been achieved by this peace negotiation, and after peace negotiation, what we have achieved. So what the war has not bring about, that's not raised usually. We should have raised it if we go to war. One brother is killing the other brother, wounding. What profits, what advantage have we achieved, which questions have been answered through that way. If we evaluate things in that way, if we analyze it, then we can move to peace and its benefits. But the many questions are what peace negotiation has resulted in. Therefore, what we like, we are not interested with peace. That shows we are more interested in the conflict. And in this regard, in our country, in different areas, appropriate and inappropriate, and those can be easily solved, or others, wars, displacement have been seen here and there. For example, if we see the Shani issue, one of the questions raised, the negotiation with Shani is not clear, people say. What agreement you have made? What promise have been made and not responded to? That questions are being read from right and left. The peace call, Ethiopian different conflicting parties, where they have come back to their country. So the call to make no peaceful struggle, in the first parliamentary speech that was included, the peaceful call. Starting from the beginning of the reform, of the change for all forces, it was that. After the change, after 2-3 months, in the speech we made in the parliament, we mentioned by name some of them, and we have said that we shouldn't kill each other from now on. Come back to your country. And we have said we make correction, any obstacles to you. So let's achieve and get power through negotiation and ideas struggle. The call was made in this very house. After that, the ONLF, both 7, EPRP and other parties, in similar way, after the call was made to them, they come to the country, while they are acting in different levels. What was the agreement made with the ONLF? People raise that question. Only raising that question is so that can be considered as well. That's not useful. The call made to ONLF is not different to that of ONLF, for Gilbert 7. They are the same calls. By the way, those representing ONLF who are not leadership level, those who speak in Asmara or Eritrea, most of them are in Addis Ababa, and some of them are part of the government, and they are taking positions in the government. If there are different negotiations, so some of them sharing power and others going to the forest and fighting people, that's the idea made to all of them is the same. No difference. In Tanzania negotiation, so those who think there is lack of transparency, when we went to Tanzania, we have said it openly to all Ethiopian people that we have to negotiate. After we started negotiating and the discussions we made, when we summarize them, so there is, as we couldn't achieve any conclusion that's beneficial to the Ethiopian people, we couldn't say anything. But in the future, if they do think properly, if they respect Ethiopian law and believe in negotiations, then we shall openly report to all Ethiopian people in this house. This is not an experience, new experience to fight, with rebels. This is not new in Ethiopia. For example, if you take England, with Irish Republican Army, they were negotiating for many years. In Colombia, with FARC rebels, there was no extended negotiation. So there were negotiations. So negotiating that is not something new here. It's an international experience. Put in others, negotiation, discussion, and opening gates for discussion, it cannot be. Understanding each other in all affairs, it cannot be. Shani, for example, in Asmara negotiation, so anything that was not fulfilled by the government, promised not accomplished, if that is the case, and that's why they have become rebels. So the people they are represented are claiming to represent. So the lack of free, rights and development, and if it is fighting for that purpose, they are abducting those same people and making obstacles to development. And the robbery, making robbery to the Oromo people, that's not useful. Now Shani is active and engaged in burning cars and vehicles, abducting people. That's not helpful. So in any struggle measurement for achievement of any objective, that cannot be taken like it is bad practice. If even they are given what moral they have, they can lead those people they robbed, they killed, they abducted. That's not appropriate to me. They have to go to themselves and come to peace. Making problems to own people and then on the other hand claiming struggling for them is not helpful. So by making discussion, negotiation and coming with alternative, then win through election and winning with better ideas, that is the best way. This negotiation, those who are among us, Shani and other rebels, they were working, wishing to get empty votes. In Oromia, RC area, there is one famous saying, there was no foolish hunter. If he said no, he should go to hunting, and he was not to kill a lion. On the fourth day, he was eaten by a lion. After he was eaten, that information was not heard by the family. Those who were not willing to accept that he was killed by the lion, they were bringing new news every day. That food, they were saying that the food has killed 4 or 5 lions, and that he shall come back victorious. And next week, he was, they say that he was skinning the lions he killed. And in the other week, and those 4 lions, he was, to tailor the leather of the skin of those lions and wear them. So the governor there, he was surprised by such of the hunter. So they said the governor will bring him home, that the foolish, there are people expecting he's coming back still, but he was killed. We have to live out that foolish experience. We have to make experience democracy, election. So people who value the gun, that cannot bring about your power. No way. So the alternative, we have to organize our ideas and convince our people. So empty votes will take us nowhere. We have to be very careful about that. That empty hope is another obstacle. Regarding Amhara region, as I have said time and again, in Amhara region, in all zones, except Kamise zone, all zones, I have done opportunity to discuss with people repeatedly. Amhara area intellectuals, religious leaders, capital owners, users, I have an opportunity to discuss with them. On those discussions, almost in all areas, in a way that can be said home. There were 3 important questions. One is development question. They said we have backward, no development. The second question, the issue of constitution. So they say, they complain that the constitution has marginality, it should be amended. There is no border issues. And other good governance, sometimes, here and there, there's no respective areas. After we discuss on this question, and we have understood that we cannot ensure sustainable development without answering to those questions. Regarding development, in the past 5 years, in Amhara region, 53 road projects we have designed and start work. This project is 3,400 kilometers they cover. Italy, so the Italy, the most developer in 5 years, it has constructed 6,000 kilometers. In the past 5 years, in Amhara region alone, 3,200 kilometers works have begun. Among these, 1,300 kilometers have been finalized and have become functional. If we take only Bahadar Bridge, the bridge there, so it can collapse at any time, and it will be difficult to connect Gojam and Gondar. That was no question. In no zone, in the discussion we have, so no question has been raised, like the bridge will have done. No question can be made. People do not ask for what it doesn't know. Now, The bridge we have constructed at Bahardar and the approach road, when we add them, it has cost 2.4 billion birr. 2.4 billion birr we have invested. That is the first time we have invested such amount of money on bridge. It is 51 meter long and it is 49 meters, and on average it has 50 meter waves. In 2 ways, it has 6 lanes in 2 ways, 2 directions. There are also lanes for bicycles, and in 2 ways there are 5 meter wide pedestrian ways. Not talking about the beauty. So this bridge of this width and length is the first time, the quality and the price. Why this is so? We were working to respond to the requests of the people, and we have convinced ourselves we cannot continue without responding to the question of the people. This 3,200 kilometer way, just like before, connecting Amhara with Tigray, Amhara with Benishangul, Amhara with Oromia, Amhara with Afar. It is not roads that connect this, but 100% Amhara with Amhara. Connection, interzonal connection, Waradas. So the federal, so from here to Makale, from Gondar to Matama to Sudan, that was the previous experience. But the roads I'm talking is roads that connect zones, Waradas, that was intended to help development, and it will bring about concrete results. The second, 3,200 kilometers. It is very high quality asphalt concrete. It's not a temporary answer. We were planning and working on sustainable, and that can be from generation to generation. It doesn't include maintenance, only constructions. Though it's not enough, but to respond to Amhara question, it shows that our government has gone far distances. 10,000, 20,000. If Amhara is very big, that's not enough. There are many areas that should be connected. But in the 5 years, the attempt we have made, this shows our respect to the government, to the people request. In addition to that, Amhara region is suitable to tourism. It has history, it has culture, it has beautiful topography, and taking that into consideration, the Gurgura project, I can share you, no project like Gurgura in Ethiopia. The knowledge base I have, no such project in Africa, no such result of this quality. So that quality, to make it an inheritance from generation to the generation, it is not only by government budget, by extracting from other finance source. As the people understand our efforts, thinking that it may help us in the future, so it's by intention that the questions will be answered step by step. Lalibela, One Rock, Hewan Church, we have been together with President Macron of France. So maintenance has been started, though there is interruption due to security issues. So the Lalibela Church, this was valuable tourist attraction. It's a good beginning. So the process is good, but sometimes there is interruption, falls now and then due to security issues. So this is as a tourist attraction, these attractive sites, but we think that will create additional income and employment opportunity. As all of you know, Fasil Palace is very, very surprising work in Gondar. But part of it has been demolished. So we have been inviting tourists to partly demolish. We have said that's not right, and we have to. So the Madamar book that we have read, up until we sold out the book, we tried to raise money from other sources. We have made attempt to start that maintenance work. So different feed and sale and plots have become obstacles to that maintenance work of facile palace. As you all know, Unity Park in Addis Ababa, before it was maintained, as I said time and again, it was a garbage dumping area. It has generated hundreds of millions, and we are also maintaining the lower palace. It was constructed by the emperor. Though good works were done, as there was follow-up were lacking, demolition and the deterioration was there. Now the lower palace, it has 3,400 employees. We have 13 projects. So it is to be accomplished in 3-4 months. So without any doubt, it will be one of our tourist attraction sites in Addis Ababa. Just like Adwa project that shows the level of Ethiopia and aspiration. And we were thinking the same thing at Fasi. There will have no other intention other than making that, as we have renovated Minilik Palace, and we were having an idea that Fasi Palace will attract tourists and maintain its quality and fame. So there are many studies to connect it with ANA in connection with development, tourism, road, agriculture, some dams that were not properly started that can bring about unnecessary extra costs. There have been dams accomplished, finalized. There are industrial parks that we have finalized. New industrial parks, Bahadar, those attempts were made. All this have come about as the people have seriously raised as the first agenda development issues. Based on the limited capacity we have, we were responding. But the problem is that we don't want to see very stable and developing country. The second issue is in making amendments to the constitution. So before the change, before the reform, there was no conducive atmosphere that accommodated that few questions. The question can be answered if there is an attitude to accept that question. That means you're ready to answer to the question 50%. So the same question is raised in Oromia, in Somali, in Afar. That's raised in different places. In Ethiopia, very minor agenda. We are conflicting and quarreling as we are such kind of people. So we have to go away out of that. If you have, long-lasting constitution, inclusive, we have started that. Why we have them? Derg regime. It has, removed the constitution of the imperial. We didn't accept, but we were fearful. Then the Ethiopian wrote its own Ethiopian. We can also write, when we go, instead of having the constitution torn up by the others, it's better that people discuss among themselves, convincing each other through ideas. If there are issues we cannot agree on by using referendum, we should have constitution that can remain for generations. So with that thinking and the idea, we have established a dialogue commission, and it has reported to you. So the hope I have, Amhara region, Oromia region, and other regions, they need to support this commission, forward their ideas in the agenda, and through discussion, if we have long-lasting constitution, that will be answered. The third question, there is no border issues. So in connection with borders over the past 30 years, 30 years, so it's rated at different times at different levels, but So those who raised the question are apprehended in prison. So there was no an understanding that the question cannot be raised. The question can be raised, we feel. If there are problems, we can discuss it. We can make consultation. So based on the agreement from the people, so we are thinking Tigray and Amhara, those issues, border issues, to give them an answer in a manner that can ensure long-lasting peace. If I go along with Tigray, if the Tigray says no, that it is to annex, if Amhara says to annex, it will be only time issue that cannot bring about long-lasting peace. These people cannot be separated; they are living together. So there is nothing that we can pick and change. So the issue is in a stable way by having participation of elders and intellectuals and solve it in a manner that can ensure peace. For example, South region, there was an agenda to become region. It was very, very arguable. It was raised here many times. We said, get together, be patient. Then we used the referendum, and the result, So the same way, unless we follow peaceful way, we cannot bring about long-lasting peace among people. But up until then, that referendum, up until that discussion, if we answer to main questions, those displaced people who bring them back to their villages and areas, their Ethiopians. The other thing, as you know, self-administration is a constitutional right after the people is settled.
Any other option will just exacerbate the situation. Now, the stand of the federal government is that Amharas displaced from Oromia needs to be resettled to where they used to live. We have decided that at party level to the senior officials of the two regional states have visited that site and are now coordinating the return of these IDPs into their usual place of residence. Such acts are not successful because people are politicizing it and hampering the resettlement of the IDPs. And we all need to be ready in this regard. Otherwise, we cannot manage to build a united nation. We need to have an open heart. This is the option that we are thinking about. If intellectuals of Tigray and Amhara can bring to the table any other alternatives of settling the issue without harming anyone, the federal government will be happy with that. But the federal government cannot naturally side with one party, and we all need to agree and understand that. We just want to ensure a sustainable peace. So we are addressing questions appropriately in this way. Recently, if you can remember, the newly elected leadership of the region was conducting public conferences, and there were two questions. One is need for peace, and second, they need the federal government to conduct these conferences. So our response was that a call for peace needs to be made for armed individuals who would like to give up their arm and join the peaceful struggle. Accordingly, some have responded to the call and are now rehabilitated. Secondly, senior officials of the federal government are now sent to different parts of the region to hold public conferences, and we will review the feedbacks received from the public. There are weaknesses, we will address that. If there are pending issues that take longer, we will also respond, and we will also clear away these confusions and misinformation. We are now extending our call for peace. This also applies to the OLA Shene and armed groups in Amhara regional state. The federal government would like to affirm its readiness for peace. We want to have a dialogue and transform our nation. So the question was not raised, but we have made this offer time and again, and I want you all to understand. We don't gain anything from conflict, misinformation, and verbal abuses. The conflict in Wallaga has caused havoc in the area. The same applies to Amhara and Afar regional states. Nobody will gain from conflict, so let's be patient and address issues through dialogue and peacefully. As you said earlier, religious leaders, community elders, the youth and intellectuals are supposed to play their role, because the federal government is ready in all aspects, and the public needs to know which concept needs to be supported. You cannot just sleep over a cloud. You need to rely on something that can hold you back. You just cannot rely on something that will vanish instantly. So let's follow the path for peace. And this is our position. With respect to Tigray region, in terms of the negotiation, it was stated that the negotiation was not clear. When the negotiation was with Oromia, Amharas will claim that it's not clear, and vice versa. There are also claims that there are no representations at the Pretoria deal. We have made it clear to this parliament, and the negotiators came back and explained the process. The AU has also announced globally what happened during the Pretoria deal. So, post the negotiation about what we gained, because this is a frequent question, the interim administration of Tigray and the federal government have achieved quite a lot through collaboration. These achievements shall not be understated. These are the joint efforts of the Tigray interim administration and the federal government. But there are also several issues to be dealt with. Some of the achievements of the peace deal is the resumption of flight to towns like Mekelle, Shire and Aksum. Aksum and Shire airports are undergoing a massive rehabilitation work, and for which $500 million has been allocated. The air transport has not resumed just overnight, but prior investment was made, and interim administration has provided support. At least individuals with critical medical conditions can now use air transport and get their treatment. Next is telecommunication service. Ethio Telecom has maintained more than 1,000 kilometers long optical fiber lines. 475 mobile sites have been maintained. In 10 areas, the newly launched 4G service has become operational. In the entire part of Tigray, more than 20,000 landline phones have been maintained, and so much has been invested for that purpose, with the collaboration and joint efforts of the federal and regional governments. Telephone and electricity service are now installed, restored. Maintenance activities has also been carried out by the electric utility. In terms of banking service, there were 600 branches of banks, and the National Bank has provided 10 billion birr so that the banks can become operational without liquidity crunch. This is not only office facility, but it's also about the cash which was made available to the region. So electricity, telecommunication, and other infrastructure developments have achieved a lot. During the war, there was nothing, no electricity, no telecommunication. So this is a big achievement. Recently, the Communication Office released this report that has not included electricity, Ethiopian Airlines, and Ethio Telecom operations. All high schools and universities in Tigray are more or less operational. That was not the case during the war, and this was not an easy investment. So this is the fruit of the current interim administration in the region. There are gaps and weaknesses in every sector, like the case in other regional states. In terms of the medical field, hospitals, health centers are now more or less operational, and billions have been invested for this purpose. In terms of industry, after the Pretoria deal, 117 factories have resumed operations. They just do not resume operation without a huge amount of investment. Regarding agriculture, in the past winter season, 630,000 hectares of land was planted, and federal agencies have tried to provide agricultural tools. Currently, the federal government has allowed, with exception, foreign currency for Tigray region, and 400 or 500 tractors purchased for the region have now arrived at the port of Djibouti. So if we bring them into the region and make them operational, we can achieve a lot. So all these achievements are the result of efforts made by the interim administration with the help of the federal government. Whether this is adequate, the answer is no. Had it not been for the limited capacity of the country, we should have done a lot more than this. Resettlement of IDPs and settlement of boundary issues peacefully. A lot needs to be done. In our part, in collaboration with the interim administration, we will continue our activities and support to the region. But the victory shall not be understated in any way. But weaknesses can be addressed through time. Other than the three regional states, I mean, peace needs to be considered relatively. Members of Parliament, one thing I would like you to know is that because this is a cause through the world, most of the propaganda will put individuals in a state of fear. For instance, foreigners planning to come to the country will be told not to leave their home once they arrive in the country because of insecurity. So while all these misinformations have been here and there, we have managed to attract millions of local and foreign tourists to celebrate religious festivals like Mascal, Epiphany, Eid, without any issue of security. There has not been any incident when Recha or Emkat or Epiphany were celebrated. This is unprecedented at African level. There are problems, of course, but it shall be put on balance. We shall not only promote patriotism through fighting. Anyone can be a patriot through reconciliation by cleaning their country. But this war rhetoric needs to be put aside. We shall avoid this thinking of getting power through the use of force. But these circumstances let us know our weaknesses. We will do three things now. We will strengthen our law enforcement operations. We will not agree with anyone telling us to keep silent. We are a government and we will do our law enforcement operations. During the law enforcement, if there is anyone interested for peace dialogue, we will remain open to that option as well. So we will keep law enforcement in parallel with peace and dialogue. The other issue is unemployment. So it is the rise in the number of unemployed youths that is causing this kidnapping and ransom seeking, and we will create a large number of employment so that the youth can be engaged in productive activities. Other than that, some issues which cannot be agreed upon can be addressed through the national dialogue process. And we will make efforts to ensure peace in that way. But you need to see peace not in terms of us, but also globally. In terms of democracy, there are allegations that the government is becoming autocratic. First of all, in the absence of democracy, from where is this anarchy coming from? This anarchy is originated from democracy. In countries where there is no democracy, even dissidents are made silent. So the prevalence of anarchy is because we are struggling to manage democracy. Is there a single definition for democracy? There is a difference in the view of Maximus' theory and the other. That is the general definition. Majority rules, minority rights. This is also general view. We are supporting concessional democracy because this is a nation of diverse people, and minority rights cannot be sufficient, and minorities need to be represented. So that will happen only through concession. Otherwise, those parties with large number can dominate the political sphere. For instance, in the Prosperity Party, there are issues related to this demography. So unless we encourage such modes of democracy, it will be difficult. Democracy can also be achieved through values. And we cannot just build values in 5 years as they were absent before. And that needs its own time. Misinformation, hate speech, conspiracy, lies, denying the facts. For instance, the Adwa Memorial, let alone Ethiopians, but also Africans, if they visit the site, they will not be able to say any bad things about this building. Has so much resources, and it is a demonstration, a role model for anyone to feel independent. But there are also individuals trying to understate this successful project. You can create an impression with hate speech, and you still ignore the consequences. But as a Prosperity Party, we believe that experience is thicker than information. For instance, if I say something bad about an individual, and if I do it frequently, and if that person gets another one who tells them that the guy is okay, the listener will not change his views instantly. because the bad things have already been instilled in him. But if he talks to the other guy for half an hour or 1 hour, he may change his views. So what you heard about Agua Zero Zero project and what you saw in person was entirely different. So our pattern is to change through actions. Because the scramble for information and misinformation is prevalent. We cannot, under any circumstances, be able to answer to every hearsay and misinformation. So why do we have so much challenges, conflicts in Ethiopia? This is a critical question. In Ethiopia, when we say that, let's let's leave the previous pattern. For instance, the Derg, the military regime, overthrew the monarchy, and during that process, when the Derg believes that any official of the monarchy can be a threat to its rule, it will just take a revolutionary action and will announce that on the media. And nobody will say anything about that because of fear. Secondly, when the EPRDF came to power in the Mercato area, when someone is caught stealing, that fighter for EPRDF used to shoot and kill that guy. You remember how many people were killed on daylight. But here we cannot even imprison, let alone to kill.
When Derg comes, there was no one radio and one black and white TV. Every information is given by government. So the duty of the people was to listen to what government says. No options. When EPRDF came, it was almost the same. Apart from that black and white TV, changed it to color. It is ETV, no Fana, no Walter. You know that. Today, baby, if 2 people are killed, the person in USA, without any problem, it was exaggerated, you can hear together with the photographs. In 1985, Chetan Kinder going from Beki to Dambidolo, there was no road. When I go to Gambela, staying there 1 week, and then without no transport, it happened that I go back. So no way to tell that I were absent from the meeting. All incidents. So there was no opportunity to go from local area to go into the country. Media was the second problem. The third problem, money. During Derg, when it was collapsed and EPRDF, it was plus or minus 10 million. It was not to the level it is today. If there is shortage of money, there is shortage of bullets. There was no rich people like Ethiopia. So they have many in the day and they buy bullets in the night. So their regimes, wealthy people couldn't do that. There are problems with geopolitics. The wealth we see was not in our region. Whether they don't like us or not, there was no limited capacity to help. So it is easy for them to invest 100 millions and support enemies. In 1985, Itata Kinder, So if any country is to help OLF only 10 acres, they can buy today them whatever they wish. So the money is not changed both by time. So the geopolitics can come into play here. So remember the reform we made to election board. So it has become an independent institution so that it can conduct democratic election, human rights also to do independently its activities. So not in legal way, but in a legal way to accomplish its activities, courts relatively they are free without no interference. We are established contracting institutions, so we are using law. So we are using money, making development and doing the reform. It's different from the previous experiences. For example, election, the last election, as you can remember, relatively it was not better, the best relatively. And I hope that upcoming election can be better again. In democracy, in media, geopolitics, our reform, if any person is not to oppose it, so diaspora, if they are to oppose that, they are financing to open different media outlets. Countries who hate Ethiopia have opened the media for them, have given them money. It's demolition country for them and the other investment. So the Honorable House should understand it to that level. In connection with this, there is imprisonment there, you said. There was not question. Many imprisonments to speak the truth based on the anarchy, the insult, bad names. So if the imprisonment to that level, we couldn't construct parks. Instead, we had to construct prisons. There are many people who should be in prison are being left there, for example. Big Sheraton at the back of Sheraton Hotel. At a certain level, we have constructed one beautiful road. It is only 15 years since it has become functional. It has required many efforts. So without inauguration, people are urinating there at the road. But we have made many efforts to construct. If we are to imprison these people, isn't it right? So if requires not to purposely make damage, they can get many other places to urinate. But we are constructing parks, not prisons. In connection with the state of emergency, the question with that, the examining board, you have discussed it with them 2-3 times, and you have the report. Most of the people arrested, most of them, they have been educated and released in thousands. They are only in hundreds now in prison. And they are, there should be no relief. So to keep people in prisons and to feed them is not good for poor government. There are people in prison here and there. So I hope the force that is leading the state of emergency will discuss, will consult with them and release them. But so if there are things together with that, we have to examine. We don't say there is no mistakes. If there are mistakes, we can examine and make corrections. And if there are mistakes, we have to apologize. Our work is not to keep the country. If we have to make mistakes, we should be responsible for that. There are thieves that are committing mistakes among us. There are people in uniforms that participate in wrongdoings. They are arrested and held accountable, but that's not 100%. There are corrections, internal corrections are being done. We have to see democracy there in that way, in that eyes. This is practice, this experience. It needs its own reform. It has also its own downside. we have to understand that regarding joint narration, common narration, that's a right concern. In Ethiopia, when we were killing each other, we are missing tomorrow. So people should learn from yesterday and building the tomorrow. Being today, we're killing each other yesterday and we are losing tomorrow. They are to inherit what have been done. Unless we prepare ourselves, that will bring about damage. We need narration like Adwa that can bring us together. Adwa has practically showed Medember summing up, just like that. It's a project of that nature. So the speech or narration should bring us together. However, so what the government is requesting, so why people are asking questions and blaming the people? It is not, because it has government. If no government, there is no blaming, no question. There are people, neighbors who are not lucky enough to have governments. So we are blaming because we have governments. We are asking questions because we have governments. So we have to have an institution of joint narration. That's expected from all of us. The coming time is dangerous unless we do that. So the coming time, so where people are drunken by money and the other are in poverty, and it is time where people are fabricating or producing firearms in neighborhoods. So there is a saying in Amharic, so the wood can be tied up by a string unless we establish an institution. There are many forces that want to weaken us. So there is nothing like coming together for Ethiopia. Other things are losses. So we are to work towards prosperity. So we can free ourselves by poverty, by doing, and we can attain prosperity through hard workers. And that's expected from all of us. There are countries that are in difficult situation than us. They are discussing among ourselves and forgiving to each other, and they are moving as a country together. For example, South Africa you can take. So there is nothing like apartheid in Africa. It was the worst. There are many bad things in apartheid. That was a bad leadership. But South African, they said yesterday there was problems. We couldn't be together. We couldn't stay together. We have lost a lot of things. But we have, they said, to march and go together through common narration. They established truth and reconciliation institution. They recognize the past wrongdoings. They are leading the largest, the biggest economy in sub-Saharan Africa. So the blacks, they suffered in South Africa. No Ethiopian has suffered the same. So I don't say as our wrongdoings are less. I'm not saying that, but let's recognize it and move forward. Let's take Germany, the Holocaust. There were millions of Jews before that and after that. In an unseen way, they were killed. Child, women, old, seniors, they were killed. So they said to each other, let's recognize that problem and move together. Now they happen to be the largest economy in Europe. If you take Canada, due to diversity problems, there was no argument for a long period of time. By policy, they recognize that. By recognize that we have no diversity of cultures. Now they are living together peacefully. Rwanda, for example, in a short period of time, there was no big killing, genocide. Large people were killed. They said that there is no way apart from making reconciliation. And they are among the governments doing better works in Africa. So what we are complaining, there are problems. So we have to discuss and to go over it, to use it tomorrow. So to see what's coming tomorrow, so we have to knowledge it. We have to pass over that. So we have to think about tomorrow. Unless we do that, if we live in yesterday all the time, that will take us nowhere. Ethiopian politicians, orators, if they say there is no peace, no unity, ethnicity, wrongdoings, and you can see everybody saying that, it is good to recognize and speak it out, but we have to ask ourselves to solve that, what I have done. So speaking the problem alone cannot bring no solution. We have to recognize the problem and work together for solution. There was no person who was entertaining with his friend. He was not swimming pool. That person then, he was not trained, not have the skill of swimming. He was, attracted by swimming. He took up his clothes and go to the pool. So he started to cry. He cried for help. So he sank down. So this friend, those friends they cried out. They said he is there, enough, finished, dead. None of them were now to jump to the water and save him. But many of them cried. So a person passing by, he saw that the person is about to die. Together with shoes and clothes, he went to the swimming pool and saved from death. He also made first aid after ensuring that the paper saved. Without saying anything, he started his way. This person, so if they continue crying without doing anything, could they save him then? But that passerby managed to save that person. So cries and shouting brings about nothing. It's only through acting that we can bring about full change. We have to understand that. Regarding the commission, we have been heard to reporters repeatedly. We have established the commission because there are problems. But up until the commission answers, we bring about answers, we don't say criminals will not be touched. We have to hold criminals and continue with the commission for solutions. That's good. I think within ourselves, in our party, in our government, within ourselves, there are people, individuals in ourselves, the police, soldiers, cadre, there are problems being happened to the people regarding the question what actions we have taken. There are many forces that are hiding within ourselves. There is no clarity of idea to bring out that we need capacity building. The second is to clear ourselves not through process. And in that regard, in the past 6 months, at different levels, leadership at different levels, we removed about 8%, reshuffled or removed from power. More than 4% has been fired out, and 4% demoted. This is in police, in soldier, that's being done, and that effort is underway, but it's not yet complete. In villages and rural areas, as you know, farmers, they're poultry when they give eggs to hatch. So the birds, they bring that wild bird, they give them to the hen at home. So the hen, so this bird and this hen's egg are different. When the time reaches and they are hatched, they remain together in the shelter of the hen, and when they grow up, the birds, they separate each other, and after some time they go far, 15-20 days, then the wild bird go to the forest. Certain farmers do not experience. So there can be an egg, such eggs within ourselves. These eggs they can be together with our young poultry. Through process, they will be filtered out. So they are mixed up in different ways. Through process, that will go away. And the right head or court will come. Then through process, a strong party and government shall be constructed. If we are based on idea, there are many problems. We shall solve them through process. Finally, the other regarding drought, peace and security, regarding droughts. So the Honorable House, I would like them to go back and remember 100 years back in Ethiopia. So drought was occurring every 10 years. We were being visited by drought every decade. Drought was expected every 10 years. During the Imperial Menelik time, Ethiopian population, it was about 5 million. Due to droughts, history showed that more than 250 people died due to droughts and famine. After that, every year, it was a repeated recurrence of droughts. In 1977, that in 1985, it was about 13 million population. During that time, the days then, it was estimated 750,000 to 1 million people in 1985 drought. So that 10 years visit, it has been reduced to every 7 years. Drought has started to come. Then it has become every 3 years. Every 3 years, the drought that visits more than one region and sometimes more than one country. But every year, there are corridors that are affected within the country, that are affected in drought in the past 20, 30 years. That was not continuous. The issue, the drought, famine, so the existence of drought, the issue is starvation due to famine in days. So drought is just like a culture, like Adwa victory. We have been visited by drought for over the past 100 years. It was there. Though we know we couldn't produce enough grain. We couldn't do that, to have capacity and net production to become resilient. That's why we did that. This year in Tigray,
but we shall not politicize this drought. There is an environmental crisis. When we say let's grow weeds, people tend to say different things about that. At the end of the day, we have to work toward saving lives. In Borana area last year, we have done a lot and saved many lives with the help of our Ethiopians. In times of insufficient support. But here now, when people are starving in Tigray, Amhara and other parts, here we cannot eat 3 times a day comfortably. So we have to help one another. For instance, about 500,000 quintals of grain was transported to the federal government. At least 3 to 4 months, nobody will starve in that region. The task of the international administration will be to
ይሄ ሪሶርስ በቂ ደግሞ ካልሆነ የኢትዮጵያ መንግስት አቅም እያለ የኢትዮጵያ ሕዝብ በልቶ እያደረ አንድም ቦታ በረሃብ ሊሞት ሰው አይተን ዝም አንልም። ባለን አቅም ሁሉ ሕዝባችንን አግዘን እችን ጊዜ እንዲሻገር እናደርጋለን። ለምሳሌ ትግራይ የሚመጡ ትራክተሮች አሁን ሜትሮሎጂ ሪፖርት ወቅቱ የጠበቀ ዝናብ በቂ ወይም ከበቂ በላይ ይጠበቃል። ትራክተሩ ሲገባ አግሬሲቭ ከሰራ ቢያንስ በሚቀጥለው የማይሻገር ካልሰራንስ
and if those tractors are imported, production
የኢትዮጵያ መንግስት አቴንሽን አልሰጠውም እንዴት ይባላል? 15 ሚሊዮን ብር ነው እርዳታ ያወጣው። 14.4 ሚሊዮን ብር ያወጣው ኢትዮጵያ ረጅሞች ገደማ ፕራይመሪ እኮ የምናወጣው እኛ ልማት ቀንሰን ሰው እንዳይሞትብን ለእርዳታ የምናወጣው እኮ እኛ አሁንም እናወጣለን። ለምን? በድርቅ ምክንያት ሰው ተርቦ ሕይወቱ እንዲያልፍ መፍቀድ የለብንም። ቢያንስ ከአቅማችን በላይ ካልሆነ እስካሁን ባለኝ መረጃ በረሃብ ምክንያት የሚሞት ሰው የለም። ያለው ችግር ምንድነው? ረሃብና አብሮ የመጣ በሽታ በትግራይ ብቻ ሳይሆን አሁን ደቡብ ምዕራብ ክልል አዲስ የወባ ባህሪ አለ። ያ የወባ ባህሪ በጥቂት ቀናት ውስጥ ሰው ይገድላል። ከዚህ ቀደም የሚሰጡ መድኃኒቶች ፈውስ አላመጡም። ወባ ሲጨመር፣ ተቅማጥ ሲጨመር፣ በምግብ እጥረት ኒውትሪሽን ሲጠፋና እላዩ ላይ በሽታ ሲጨመር ሰው መቋቋም ይህ ከአቅም በላይ ሆነ። አሁን የተከበረው ምክር ቤት እንዲለየው የምፈልገው ኢትዮጵያ ውስጥ ዘንድሮ ከምን ጊዜው በላይ በታሪካችን አምጠን ማናውቀው ምርት ዘንድሮ በጋ 300 ሚሊዮን ሄክታር ነው ያረስነው። 120 ሚሊዮን ኩንታል ስንዴ እንጠብቃለን። ይሄን አምና አመቱ ሙሉ አላገኘንም። ትልቅ ምርት ነው። ይህንን ምርት አርሶ አደር አርሶ ወንድም ተደርጎ እየሞተ ነው ሲባል ዝም ይላል ብላችሁ አትጠብቁ። ምክንያቱም ኢትዮጵያዊን አያደርጉም። መንግስት እንኳ ባያደርግ ህዝብ ተጋብቶ ሰው እንዳይሞት ያደርጋል ማድረግ ይህ ስንዴ መመረቱ የሚያማቸው ኃይሎች ግን አሉ። ይህ ግልጽ ነው። ፈረንጆች አይ ካንት ሄልፕ ኢት እንደሚሉ አይ ካንት ሄልፕ ኢት እየተመረተ ነው ያለው። አልተመረተም ለማለት አንዴ ድርቅ መጣ፣ አንዴ ዋጋ አልቀነሰም፣ አንዴ ዳቦ ቤት እንደዚህ ሆነ በሚል ማጠልሸት አይቻልም። የተመረተውን ተቀብለን የቀረውን እየሞላን ነው። የተመረተውን ለማራከስ ተብሎ የሚደረጉ ዘመቻዎች ብዙ ጠቃሚ የኢትዮጵያ መንግስት ትናንት እንዳደረገው ዛሬ የሚራበበት ሰው ካለ ፕሮጀክት አጥፎ ህዝቡ በረሃብ እንዳይሞት የሚችለው ይሰራል። ከማን ጋር? ከህዝቡ ጋር፣ ከባለ ሀብቶች፣ ከክልል መንግስታት ጋር ተባብሮ
will cancel other projects and divert its fund to the specific area.
አንድ ሰው በእኛ ሰፈር ነበር።
There was this guy in our neighborhood.
ይጸልያል።
And this guy
እግዚአብሔር ሆይ
for years has
ለቶሪ
been
እንዲወጣልኛል። ጠዋት ለቶሪ ነው፣ ቀን ለቶሪ ነው፣ ማታ ለቶሪ ነው። ልመና ነው። ለብዙ ዓመታት ለቶሪ እንዲወጣልኝ እርዳኝ፣ ደህንነት ተረቸኝ ይላል። አንድ ቀን እግዚአብሔር ቤቱ መጣ ይባላል። ልጄ ሆይ እባክህ ሎተሪ ቁረጥ፣ ሎተሪ ሳይቆርጥ እባክህ ሎተሪ ሊወጣልኝ አድርግልኝ የሚል ነገር እግዚአብሔርን ግራ ቢገባውና ያስቸግረው እባክህ ሎተሪ ቆርጣለሁ ይባላል እና እባካችሁ ታረስ መሬት አለን፣ ውሃ አለን፣ ጉልበት አለን፣
we have the water resource, we have the labor we need. We shall not be proud of poverty and begging. We shall not be proud when foreigners tell us that we are going to die during COVID. That did not happen. When we started the war, they claimed that famine is looming, but that was not the case. I'm not saying that we shall be reluctant. We need to be vigilant, but we have to cooperate with each other. We shall not politicize it. After 6 months, we ask them, where is that guy that you allege to have died of starvation? We have the data. Some people are claiming to the extent that this famine is even much higher than the one in the 1980s. They are alleging that 1 million people have already died. But that's not the case. But it requires all-rounded efforts of the people of Ethiopia, and I would recommend that other options are not helpful. We shall not be taken away by the useless things. Shall I proceed with the economic issues? We are going to have a 20 minutes break and we will get back.
ከስኬት ማማ ላይ ለመድረስ መትጋት ያስፈልጋል። በጽናት ውስጥ የሚገኝ ግብ ደግሞ ሀገርን ያሻግራል።
ክቡራትና ክቡራን
ዓላማውን እስኪያሳኩ አብረን እንደነበርነው ሁሉ ስኬቱን ሲያጣጥሙም እኛም አብረኖት እንቆማለን። የኢትዮጵያ ቴሌቪዥን ለስኬቱ የሚመጡ
ታቅዶም ያልተጀመረ
የማክሮ ኢኮኖሚ ስብራት ረዘም ላለ ጊዜ የቆየ ስብራቱን እንደ ብዙ ስብራቶች የወረስነው ነው። ግን የማክሮ ስብራት ብቻውን ቢሆን ምናልባት በሪፎርሙ በሄንበት መንገድ ውጤት ይመጣ ነበር። ነገር ግን ወዲያው ኮቪድ መጣ፣ ጦርነቶች ተበራከቱ፣ የአየር ንብረት ለውጥ ተስፋፋ። ዓለም ላይ በሙሉ አዳዲስ ስብራቶች እየተወለዱ ሄዱ። በእኛ ሁኔታ ዓለም ላይ ካለው አጠቃላይ ክራይሲስ በተጨማሪ የውስጥ ችግራችን በሰፈር በቡድን የምናደርጋቸው ግጭቶች እንዲሁም የውጭ ጫና ላለፉት ዓመታት ጠንከር ያለ ጫና የማይነገር ጫና ስለነበረ በእነዚህ ድምር ስራዎች የማክሮ ኢኮኖሚ ስብራቶቻችንን በምናስበው ፍጥነት መጠገን አልቻለም። ነገር ግን የማክሮ ፋይናንሻል መዛባትን ብንወስድ የተሰራው ሪፎርም በብዙ ኢንዲኬተርስ በብዙ ማሳያ ከፍተኛ መሻሻሎች ታይቶበታል። የሚቀሩ ኢንዲኬተርስ አሉ። ነገር ግን የፋይናንሻሉን ብቻ ብንወስድ እመርታው ከፍተኛ ነው። ያ የብር ኖት ከመቀየር ጀምሮ ሲሰራ የነበረው ሪፎርም በተወሰነ ደረጃ መሻሻል እንዲታይ አድርጎታል። አሁንም ቀሪ አመላካቾች መታየት ያለባቸው ቀጣይ ስራ የሚፈልጉ እንዳሉ ሆነው የፊስካል ፖሊሲ አቅጣጫዎቻችን እና ስራዎቻችን አሁን ብቻ ሳይሆን ለሚቀጥሉት መንግስታትም ጭምር ፋይዳ ሊያመጡ የሚችሉ አንኳር ስብራቶች ተጠግነውበታል። ዝርዝሩን አልገልጽም። አሁን ግን አንደኛው አንኳር ስብራት በፊስካል ፖሊሲ ለማድረቅ የተሞከረው በሰብሲዲና የመንግስት የልማት ድርጅቶች ላይ በዕዳ መልክ ይከማች የነበረውን ሀብት ሲስተማቲካሊ በሪፎርም ለመቀነስ እየተሄደ ያለበት መንገድ ከፍተኛ የሆነ ምርታ እያመጣ ነው። 9-10 ኤሪያዎች አሉ ትላልቅ ውጤት የተገኘባቸው። አንደኛውን ብቻ ገልጻለሁ። ነዳጅ የነዳጅ ድርጅት በነዳጅ ዋጋ መዋዠቅ ምክንያት 180-190 ቢሊየን ገደማ ዕዳ ነበረበት። ይሄን ግራጁዋሊ ለመፍታት በሰራነው ስራ አሁን ወደ 100 ቢሊየን ገደማ ዝቅ አድርገነዋል። በሚቀጥሉት 4-5 ዓመታት ዜሮ ካደረስ ነው ይሄንን ዕዳ ከፍተኛ የሆነ ውጤት እኛ ጋር ባይታይም በሚቀጥሉት መንግስታት ውጤቱ ይታያል። የተከማቸው ስብራት ጥገና ያገኛል። የኤሌክትሪክን ብቻ ብንወስድ 99% ዕዳ የነበረው ተቋም ምናልባት በ3 ከበዛ 4 ዓመት ውስጥ ልክ እንደ ህዳሴ ያሉ ፕሮጀክቶች ከመንግስት ከህዝብ ቦንድ ሳይል ኢንቨስት ማድረግ ወደሚችልበት ደረጃ ይሸጋገራል። እነዚህ ጊዜ ወሳጅ ግን በጣም ከፍተኛ ምርታ እየመጣባቸው ያሉ ኤሪያዎች ናቸው። ትልቁ ጋፕ ያለው በሞኔታሪ ፖሊሲ ነው። ሞኔታሪ ፖሊሲ ላይ ይያያዛል ሀሳቡ። ለምሳሌ ግሽበት ለመቆጣጠር ብለን የምናደርጋቸው ቁጥጥሮች ቅድም እንደተነሳው በገንዘብ ዝውውር ላይ የሚያስከትለው ነገር አለ። ተቀማጭ ገንዘብ ጨምሯል። አምና ከቀረበላችሁ ሪፖርትም የዘንድሮ 6 ወር ከ100 ቢሊዮን ብር በላይ ተቀማጭ ጨምሯል። 1.2 ትሪሊየን ደርሷል ተቀማጭ። ይሄ የገንዘብ ዝውውሩን ስለሚቀንስ ግሽበት ላይ የሚያስገኘው ውጤት አለ። ትንሽ ብትሆን ውጤት ታይቷል። ብድርን በሚመለከት ባለፉት 6 ወራት ከ170 ቢሊዮን ብር በላይ ብድር ተሰጥቷል። ከዚህ ውስጥ 83% ለግል ሴክተር የተሰጠ ነው። ይሄ ሲግኒፊካንት የሆነ ለውጥ ነው። ድሮ 70% መንግስት ከሚወስድበት 83%ን
So previously 70% was taken by the government. Now giving 83% to the private sector, that's a big change. We have managed to save banks, Development Bank and Commercial Bank, they were about to collapse. You can see the details in the sector. I won't take much time. There are workers required there. So back-breaking problems have been solved. These are monetary, fiscal policy measures. By chaining up this, by supporting one by the other, and attaining full results. So the overall problem have made us not to see the changes, the deaths. And when new challenges are added, so we couldn't solve it in the speed we required, we needed. but it is different to segregate through sectors. If we go to sectors, for example, agriculture, when we say agriculture is growing, so people will ask, why we see macro problems. Agriculture is only sectoral development sector. That can be seen by sector. So macro is beyond sector. Agriculture has made no big improvements in Ethiopia last year, this year, and it will continue. But the works we accomplished in agriculture, if we go more than we have done this, if we could have managed that, we could see many different gaps and can be free from begging in the industries. That Ethiopia Produce has changed in many changes, and in startups, beginners. They're value adding users, supporting them when that is on the right track, and industry will show no big improvement. Transport again, fertilizers, the results we have achieved in ICT. In ICT, the result in telecom, in the capital market, we are to start soon. When we start the capital market in Ethiopia, many informal wealth will come to the right path, and we can create many investors. Capital markets, about 10 years. So it was not good, even in talks in Ethiopia, that was unthinkable. Now, these issues, when they take the right track, so the institute that manage that, most of the wells will be guided by business, by law. We are expecting many changes. When these are chained up, we are expecting 7.9% growth. What does that mean?
So Ethiopia is one of the countries registering quite significant economic growth. There are, of course, growths, but there are also some drawbacks. But overall, the growth in Ethiopia is tangible, and no need of any third-party proof. So everyone that comes here is asking us, have you guys managed to find oil, or what has helped you to achieve such an extraordinary development? So this thinking is that you cannot do it unless somebody is behind. This is what we are witnessing at the moment. In terms of import and export, our plan was 270 in terms of import, and we have achieved 98%. Comparing with last year, it has 17% increase. In terms of the shared revenue between regional states, last year it was 27 billion, this year it is 28 billion. But our revenue is very low compared to our GDP. In Africa, countries manage to collect up to 30% of their GDP in the form of revenue. Some countries in our region also collect about 15% of their GDP. Our tax collection is less than 10% of our GDP. So we need a tax reform, and this shall be understood by everyone. the people of Ethiopia need also to understand that tax is not paid as much as it should. In Europe, take France for instance, they collect 45% of their GDP in the form of tax. This means that while we have 8.9 trillion GDP, 45% means we will collect more than that per year. So the maximization of tax collection needs to be reformed. In terms of export, from goods and services, last year we collected 10.7 billion during the half year. Now I have the 5-month data. We have collected about 5 billion, and the forecast is that it will not be lower than last year's. We can achieve our target if things go as planned, but it is an important indicator. In the import side, we have imported 7.5 billion worth of items. 7.5. So it is illogical to claim that a country that imports 7.5 billion worth of items cannot pay $33 million debt. In terms of import substitution and proliferation of the export is still our weak point, which need a massive effort. We have collected or attracted 1.5 billion USD foreign investment in the past 5 months. Thousands of employees are sent to overseas, and this is one of the achievements of the Ministry of Labor and Skills, negotiating on behalf of employees so that they can earn the minimum age and will have protection while on duty. This is a big progress, but much more needs to be done. In terms of inflation, it is a combination of different factors, but primarily it is caused by the lack of sufficient production. And if the production is lower than the demand, then it is a third party that's going to determine the prices. And conflicts, insecurities, and other factors also worsen the situation. Inflation remains to be a challenge even to other countries. In our context, due to the problems in the trade chain, we have not been able to achieve huge progress. We have reduced it to 34% from 35%, but the action we took was like a painkiller. We have not taken a decisive action, and I think that time has come now. Reform by its nature is like a dentist. So if you go to a dentist because of tooth pain, the dentist, when came to the dentist, he will consider the dentist's opinion for extraction as if it is caused by the dentist and not because of the seriousness of the illness. So Unfortunately, dentists are blamed for such things. It is after some time that the patient will thank the dentist for relieving his pain. Reform is the same. And to do that, the path we followed was maximizing our production, rice, wheat, and we're achieving result. The issue with wheat production, people are asking where this claimed production is. Of course, you cannot see it in Addis. You have to go out and see how much is wheat is produced. But in my view, we used to spend 700 to 800 million USD per year for wheat purchase, but we're not paying anything last year and this year. We're not spending anything to purchase wheat. But wheat is not sufficient by itself. It has to be supplemented by milk, honey, and other items. Globally, any international standard hotel, when you order breakfast, you cannot find anything other than wheat, bread, pancake, honey, egg, probably meat. So if we invest on lemmat and wheat, we will be able to have different varieties on our plate. This is the pattern we should follow. In terms of poultry, it has doubled. The production has doubled. We cannot find the grandparent because it is monopolized by a few countries. If we manage to find the grandparents, then we will have millions of chickens, and we will be able to include it in our daily meal. We have to work. We cannot sit idle and expect growth. The informal market and the contraband needs to be addressed swiftly. Of course, there are sabotages here and there, but we will continue taking actions. Where we need to focus on activities that are pro-poor, educating, feeding, school feeding, and feeding the poor need to be part of this initiative as well, because we cannot leave it to the market to decide. There are few progresses in these 6 months, and I expect it to increase in the next 6 months as well. But the reform should be supported by decisive action, like the case of the dentist that I mentioned. That way, the problems that we have may be addressed to some extent. In terms of debt, the biggest success of this reformist government is our stand on debt. By the way, Ethiopia used to receive a huge sum of loan that was not a proper loan. Commercial loan is not a formal loan. You have to pay a huge amount of interest, and without investing it to generate income, then you will use it as collateral. And so we decided that we don't need any commercial loan. We have not taken a single dollar in the form of commercial loan in the past 5 years. Well, it would have been easier to collect loans from where they were available, but we decided that is not the case. On the other hand, starting from 2018 up to 2022, Ethiopia has paid 9.9 billion USD dollar. It has repaid. Imagine, we have not taken a single dollar of commercial loan, and yet we were able to repay 9.9 billion USD. By the time we came to power, the external debt was 32% of our GDP. Currently, it is now 17%, but our target is to bring it down to less than 10%. There are still countries, bigger countries, having more than 100% of their GDP in the form of debt. We have managed to reach 17% from 32%, and we expect it to decline in the upcoming years. So we are proud that we have not taken any commercial loan and managed to repay a huge amount. While doing so, we were debating with global powers that this loan is not fair and proportional, and that was shared by other African nations as well. As a result, there was this common framework which aims to achieve transfer commercial loan into concessional loan was in progress, but not so much has been achieved in that regard. Currently, the issue of the Euro bond
7.5 billion dollars has not paid for import. If it is said that it couldn't pay 33 million, that will be only a tell story. 33 million dollar means it is income of Ethiopian Airlines in 2 days. 6.3 billion revenue. That means it is about 16, 17 million dollars, that daily income. Ethiopia is a big country. Why are they talking about? They are not to hold our hand when we see from, as we are expecting whatever from abroad. It is not to twist our hands. That is not. Why has Ethiopia not paid? If the capacity, why we couldn't pay? If that question comes, that's appropriate question. The answer is simple. When urban dweller, he or she goes to the rural area, let's say that mathematics, he's teaching mathematics. Then when teaching mathematics, 5 minus 1, so he asks the farmers. So the farmers say, I don't know. Why you don't know that? If you have 5 goats and one is lost, how many goats you are left with? He says, no, I've left with nothing. So the urban builder says, if one is lost out of 5, so he says, no, nothing is left then. That is the farmer's answer. So the man or the person gets confused. So the farmer said, he said, you know mathematics, you know numbers, and I know about goats. If you have 5 goats, so the other 4 will follow. That is not what we know. Then you will be left with nothing. In our word, so if we cry from country to country and pay one, as all will follow that, so it is just to make similar. It's to keep uniformity. Regarding fertilizers, at the question the MP said, there was no problem last year. We were late last year, but this year, we have done a lot this year. when the rainy season ended, we harvested about 20 billion and purchased the fertilizer. Surprisingly, more than 4.5 million ton has been come to the country, and we are distributing to the farmers. Last year, this time of the year, we are buying, but this year, partly we have received, and the other is reaching Djibouti port, and we are expecting the other soon. After that fertilizer arrives, so the law enforcement will solve the mischief that may happen in between. The robbery is in the fertilizers. There is no stopping vehicles and robbing, abduction of people. There are problems. There are no forcing to bring out wheat. The sense of begging, we have to break that together. We have to work together. Regarding Southwest development, salary issues, in the southern region, when there is no question of becoming region, in this house, being it is not to buy Cobra vehicles for some people, but it's not helpful. I said that repeatedly. But if the people said it wants that, if the people decides, we have to be obedient to the people and accept, like Southwest and other new regions, rich regions, that can even have access to others. Southwest region means it is the heaven on the earth. It has everything. It's a wealthy region, but one individual, if it has 10,000 salary and there is 20,000 spending, then there is debt every month. The person has income of 10,000. So we don't mean that person doesn't need a beautiful car, beautiful building. 100,000 shall have no better house. 10,000 income will have no less building. So we have to be, to see our incomes. We have to make our spending proportional to our income. What we should be asked, if we have no money decided for regions but didn't pay, you have to ask me. We have given 100% what we have decided. We have retained no money. The second thing, as we have found joint income. Now the joint income has increased this year as compared to last year. The budget has increased, joint income has, whatever approved by you has been done, So you don't tell me that I'm retaining money and to give to some of them when they ask. When I go to the world and ask for money, who will give me? They say they tell me to be self-sufficient. For example, Southwest, if the income is low, it has to leave zones and become region and warada. When the wealth increases, it will do that. So if they buy cobras and to buy cobras for every zone, for every warada, then there will be problem. So I think the leaders of the region should understand, and the people will understand, based on the capacity of Ethiopia. So we are administering what we decided. We can't decide by ourselves. So apart from the Federation's calculation, we cannot increase or reduce. Even then, the request for development of Southwest, that's where Kwesha is, where Arala Kela is, Chabara Chorchora is there, Dembi is there. So as opposed to Southern, there is no region that has no big project like Southwestern. If Central Ethiopia requested for that would be right. But Southwest is rich. This means when the federal government, whenever it has the capacity, it will help. So the regions should understand what resource they have, and they adjust their spendings accordingly. The federal government has no special income. It will have problem in distribution. Regarding illegal finance, that's a big problem. We have done a lot in legal framework, in technologies, and reform of institution. We have made collaboration with many countries. Still, money is, there is illegal transaction of money. As I said to this honorable house, I will repeat it. Ethiopian government, the government now, as a government in a coordinated way, in Regions Development Association or NGO in that name, it will not embezzle no money from Ethiopia. We don't take no money out of the country. We use for development every coin we get. Individuals, based on the network they have, they are making many problems that is still continuing. To stop this, it requires no extra efforts. Regarding collaboration, the time in office, the experience I've acquired, when world defines about corruption, how Africa is corrupt when they say, and how when they talk about how corruption is anti-development, I have never seen, I don't support collaboration. So every money, the theft is not any money have been taken. It's taken there. There is no collaboration. Whatever money taken from Ethiopia is known where it is. That it would have been possible to bring back that money because it has been taken through theft. Regarding projects, the question raised, projects, one country can be changed, can get prosperous through projects. A country's total sum of projects that become program. Renaissance, the road, when those projects are summed up, it will bring about prosperity. The country, the government that's not properly guiding projects or leading guidance cannot bring about prosperity. However, countries like Ethiopia, where there is no institution, where there is no system, where all people are not making efforts equally, they are required not to do extra works. For example, the Adwa project is very beautiful. The Honorable Mayor and her team are evaluating every evening at 11 p.m. I don't know, I'm not sure whether at that site. They have no daily site evaluation. It comes about through efforts. There is no institution. You can't only tell and expect changes. The Adwa and Renaissance is bringing results through day-to-day evaluation and supervision. So the leadership at different level, Warada, zone, region, they should have that kind of behavior and evaluate, supervise works day-to-day. So evaluation comes, the other key issue is not to be satisfied. Satisfaction is anti-development. For example, in Addis Ababa, the reform you have started, Bole, Arakilo, Churchill Highway, Piazza, there are changes, good changes. As I've told the leaders of the city, if these works are completed in the coming months, so in the coming 3 months we should discuss from Sarbe to Gotara, Wallo Safar, from Bole to Magananya, from Magananya, Arat Kilo, we have to expand it. It's because we have done Churchill, we shouldn't be satisfied. If that is complete, CMC and Magananya, how can we connect that? We have to talk about that. Akaki and Bole, Labu and Sarbet, how to connect. If they are to be demolished and reconstructed, when we connect them, Addis Ababa shall be fully beautiful. It shall be a good experience, an example to others. If satisfaction is there, we cannot be successful. If we say that we have accomplished the Adwa project and stay satisfied, that will not be good. We have to add our efforts. Country level, we can bring about big changes. We can do that. There are many obstacles to development. Method of operation, laws, committee. So when we are demolishing telecommunication, they say heritage is being developed. It's only blocks for construction. That's not good for look. China, America will be demolished. There are issues that, for example, Lalibela cannot be touched. That's an heritage. So we have to identify building and heritage. Whenever we see a hut and building, if we say that's heritage, that would be difficult. there are successful areas in this regard, and there are unsuccessful areas. If you ask me why, it is not policy issue. There is problem to accept and implement. It is an equal policy for all regions. Some are doing better, and some are not running that fast. We have to change that. And equally for other activities, Addis Ababa, if it is successful in cleaning, why it is not can be successful in Adama? Why not in Bishoftu? If Oromia is successful in youth production, why in Somali region? We have to ask that and make development competition. That's what we need. If we do that, projects will take the right track. If we lay the foundation, we do every effort for every project, as I've said time and again. So we are not to collect stones founded. So you better ask those who laid. If they laid stone wherever they go and make promises and they couldn't do, that's difficult because it requires budget. In Ethiopia, the demand is high. Water, dam, electricity. We don't have resources enough for all that. We have to choose. There are projects we have started, but lagging behind due to security issues, due to contractors, due to lack of follow-up. We have to evaluate data and make corrections. We have made a lot of corrections this year. We have detected that. We shall continue. We shall make evaluation and make corrections accordingly. So we shall do our level best to respond to questions regarding connection with Africa. That's an important question. In Africa, infrastructure should be done all areas. So there should be joint using. There is no competition more than collaboration in Africa. Ethiopia, for example, instead of buying from neighboring country, it is easy for it to import from far away area. So there is problem in collaboration. But in past year, about 1.5 years, for the first time in Kenya, we have made agreement of electricity sales. Now we have finalized it with Tanzania. We are to sign soon. And then all the way down, we shall move to the Southern Africa. And in the road construction, electricity, if we get connected in that, and when development and joint development increases, problems will reduce. Regarding sport games, this betting, gambling, regarding betting, that question, betting, as I don't have complete information, for example, National Lottery may study the issue and compile experience from other countries, and we may follow that way. I cannot say a lot about that, but as National Lottery is mainly engaged in this, let them study it and lay down the path that's good for generation. Regarding tourism, there are attempts, destination development in the development end, but if you don't work on the peace, we cannot bring about complete result. That's a good expression. But in Ethiopia, since recently, this government, people say that it's working only seedling plantation, flowers, only cleaning, only park, they say. What does that do? There are accusations like that. These accusations, we have to see it in a different way, different questions. Ethiopia, 99%. So the people with faith, they have religions. Muslims, Christians, Allah and God are not followed in this country. Muslims, for example, they pray 5 times a day. They fasting, they say it's haram, they don't steal, they don't lie, that's haram. And sometimes they say, and they forgive astaghfirullah when they make mistakes. Why do they suffer? Why do they pray 5 times a day? Why do they fast? It is why do they refrain from many things? After days, Is it to take the seats of Allah? Is it to say so? I don't think. Christians, they fast, they pray, they go to monasteries and weaken themselves whether they can or not, and they promise that they don't lie, they don't rob. Why they age long they suffer? Is it to replace the seat of God? Is it to replace him? It is not. It is to inherit, place garden with good flowers, with good trees. We are suffering only to get heaven. It is good trees, good flowers, good order. Human being, lifelong, be it Muslim or Christian, not to go bad smelling, not to go to bad place, is to get neat and clean areas. That's why we are fasting. That's why we are praying. So when we day to get trees and flowers, why we don't do now parks? Park means it is the little model of heaven. It's not like a heaven. It's not like of that size. There is big peace, extensive peace. We hope that. But on the earthly life, if we construct a clean area, if seedling is planted, and the dam, water dam is made, so the ultimate, inheritance is that heaven. So tourism shouldn't be seen from income perspective. It is to get the life we are aspiring. So it requires work. The Lower Palace, 3,400 workers are working there. If that's not being innovated, that employment will not opportunity. Unity Park has generated millions in revenue. It is, bread, it is life. It's only beauty. It's creating employment opportunity. It's creating employment income. So the government, as much as possible, it's seedlings, trees, and it will continue making little heavens. Regarding diplomacy, the diplomacy center, it's national interest. It's all about national interest. Ethiopia, the basic interest to respond to basic interest. It is making relation, talking to different countries. It's going to BRICS, to IGAD. It's for its own interest, and others are doing it for the same purpose. The benefit, it should be through talking beyond conflict. Associations, multilateral organizations. So World Bank didn't set fire. It is not an institution suitable for poors. Though we are talking that it should be improved, still we continue working with it. So we tell them what should be corrected. UN Security Council, we don't trust them. There is a bias. We should cry that reform is done, but still we continue working with them. So diplomacy means even you are not comfortable with, you have to talk about changes, to bring about change, but still continue working. Ethiopian national interest, that in a way that maintains the national interest of Ethiopia. All in the tips of the world, we work together. We have joined BRICS. It's not to leave the Western world. At least, so please understand the values of BRICS. They would have also made declaration, statements, BRICS. So we have saved ourselves from BRICS, at least we are there. Had we been in Arab leagues without hearing to our voices, without knowing our position, no declaration would be made by Arab League. That's mean because we are not there. So BRICS, we have joined BRICS to work together in collaboration with Western and Eastern. It's not to bring closer one and to go far away from the other. It's not. So why does it bring, whether we are member or not? China, Saudi, UAE, more than us. They have no connection with Europe and interest more than us. Are they not interested in that? So there is benefit that come about through coming together. So with the Western world, we have good friendship. With the US, we have good relationship that shall continue strengthened. our friendship with US shall not be revoked by other friendship. Even if we want it, we cannot do that. We shall strengthen that. We shall give whatever we can give and take what we can take, and live with all peacefully. Regarding neighboring countries, as we have indicated our policy, there are priorities to priorities. Priorities are given to neighbors. To be specific, if we take Somalia, in the world, there is no country, the main Somalia, there is no country where many Somalis are living in Ethiopia apart from Somalia. So the Somalis' home is first Somalia, and then Ethiopia, then Kenya, then Djibouti, US, England. We can continue, but next to Somalia, large population. It is home to Somalis. We share beliefs. We share culture, religion, so many things. So Somali government, whatever that affects the existence or demolish or affects, Ethiopia has no intention of like that nature. So as the Honorable House knows, for over the past more than 10 years, to ensure the peace of Somalia, thousands of Ethiopians have died in Somalia, in thousands. So we are dying in Somalia because the peace of Somalia is peace of Ethiopia. The development of Somalia is development of our country, because we believe that they are brothers. More than Ethiopia, there is no country that has died. No country that has died for Somalis.
Thousands of Somali soldiers were trained here in Urso training camp. So if we had a bad motive, why would we train and send their soldiers back to their homeland? We don't want any conflict with the Somalis. They are our brothers. The issue with Red Sea, we have been crying about it, but now it's up to our neighbors to do so. What I am saying is that, if you remember, when I first presented this matter to this House, the conflict that Houthi was involved did not start. If the Houthis, if you remember, I asked you if the Houthis started launching attacks and if the port of Djibouti is unable to do its operations, what would happen? Now that's what is happening. So our question is, Red Sea is a matter of existence to our people. Together with our brotherly neighbors in other countries, we have to ensure how to use it. If it is right for us to go to Somalia and die for their peace, why would it be difficult to do the same on the Red Sea? I don't think the Somali government wants to fight with us, but there are some elements, external forces, that want to launch a proxy war through Somalia, but we will not make the situation easy for them. So those forces, we have the information that they have opened this media to Ethiopian diaspora and did the same to Somalis as well. But we don't want to fight anyways. We want to see a strong and prosperous Somalia that is a source for market for Ethiopian goods. This stand of Ethiopia is known by Somalis. We have done a lot to start the peace negotiation between Somalia and Somaliland. We will be the first country to be happy if Somalia and Somaliland make peace. So the world should understand and judge us according to the global rules. We don't want to grab from anyone. We don't want to violate any sovereignty. They are our brothers. We died for them in times of their conflict. Somalia has 4 rivers flowing towards it from Ethiopia, and we are happy with that, but we don't believe that it is our own water, but we consider them as our brothers. There are noises, dusts on the air, and we would like to make the dust rest. In its history, Ethiopia has never invaded any country, and no country has achieved to invade and defeat Ethiopia. We don't want to fight, but if it comes, we are ready. Our threat is from within, not from outside. So we want development, and we have practically shown that to the world that we are growing even in times of difficulty. So we have to sit and study the global world, the global history. Why is the world putting so much pressure on this country? I try to see it as a politician, as a spiritual guy, but I don't know. I am still confused. You do your research, I will do mine. But this is not a fair world. Superpowers win and others lose. This is the current shape of the globe. We just asked a few, the smallest thing for more than 100 million population in exchange for a share in our airlines. But anyways, we don't feel threatened. We don't be concerned that much. We are ready to defend ourselves. With regard to the Renaissance Dam, Ethiopia is still ready to negotiate. We can negotiate with Kenya, Sudan, South Sudan, Djibouti, Eritrea. If any question is raised, we will try to understand their concern. We are ready for that. As you remember, the concern was that if Ethiopia holds the water, the level of the Aswan Dam will decline. Holding water is no more our agenda. We have held enough water, and the level of Aswan Dam is not yet declined. But we are still ready to hear the voices and the concerns of our Egyptian brothers as a government. But we don't want to be arrogant and say that this is our water and nobody else can have a say about it. We will share our resources even in the future, but my hope is that I expect them to accommodate our requests as well. This should be guided by the principle of give and take, because that is a world that we all need. Taking advantage always is not sustainable. The next generation will not definitely accept such a pattern. So that we need a friendship that is ready for give and take, and we're ready to share what we have. The problem we're having is that this local governor went to war and defeated his enemy. While returning back to his base, everyone was congratulating him and giving him gifts. So this guy, without proper clothing and a weak physical condition, was trying to get into the house of that warlord, but he was sent away by the guards. Again, when the governor was going out to see off his guests, he saw that guy and asked the guards to let him in. So that poor guy took out a vino drink, an alcohol drink, and he said, "I'm happy for your victory and I'm here to congratulate you." So the governor was touched and asked him where he lives and what he needs. So he provided him with a house, farmland, and cattle. After a few weeks, that poor guy in the same clothing came to see the Lord. So when that the governor asked why he came back again, the guy said, "Last week I brought you the wine, now I want the bottle back." So he appreciated for what was provided. Thank you. I would like to thank the Prime Minister for his answers and clarifications. This is the end of our 14th session. Thank you.
Ahora esto.